All right. Well, a couple of minutes early. I always like to start early when I can, so we can do a sound check just to make sure that everything is sounding the way it's supposed to, or at least the best I can make it sound with my current setup. So happy Saturday to everybody who's here. If I could just have somebody let me know if they can hear me, and make sure audio sounds good. Sound is great. Awesome. Thank you for that. Again, I hope everybody's having a great Saturday. For some of it's for some of us, it's still fairly early in the day, but I know there are a big chunk of you from on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, and sometimes that still blows my mind. So thank you all for hanging out with me today. Hope you're all doing well. I am feeling a little better after the nonsense that has been the flu in this area for a while. Um, I was honestly I was sick for most of December. You guys even noticed or made comments a couple of times earlier in the month about me not looking good, which is 100% a fair thing to say because I didn't feel well. And then like on the 26th, like the day after Christmas, I just started feeling like absolute crap. Um, it lasted for about 5 days. In fact, we even had a deadline. If I wasn't better by the 31st, I was going to the ER. And I woke up I think the morning of the 30th at like 4 o'clock, and was just like, I feel better now. But it's still been quite the recovery since then. Still feeling pretty weak. Still not having a lot of stamina, those sorts of things. But doing better, I think than I have in a while. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on here. Of course, you'll have noticed probably that I haven't released any videos, any VODs, anything that required me to record, edit, and upload for the last few weeks, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in this live stream, at least to a certain degree. Um, but if you've read the title, if you've looked through the description of this video, you'll have at least a general idea of what we're going to get into here in a little bit. Um, it says, "Hey, regards from Mexico. Well, glad to have you here. You're only, well, depending on where you are in Mexico, I'm only like a state away. I've actually been kind of right along the Mexican border a couple of times when I was visiting a friend in South Texas, and I was actually able to see kind of over the border as far as what was going on. I think Juarez is right there on the border. I could be mistaken on that, but thanks for joining. Appreciate having you here." Yeah, I said weird flu strains going on. Hope you're better now. Yeah, it's been pretty brutal. So like every other Wednesday, I have to do a blood test at home. It's kind of like a diabetic test of sorts. Prick my finger, smear the blood, get a reading. I'm shooting for a certain number, so we can keep tabs on my blood thinners to make sure that we've got the right dosage, and that changes pretty regularly. Um, and this last Wednesday when I tested my blood, my number was way off. And my blood thinner nurse person called, and she's like, "Hey, have you been sick lately?" That was like how we opened the conversation. And I was like, "Yeah, actually, I have been." And I kind of explained everything, and apparently, it's been pretty brutal. Been pretty brutal with a lot of her patients, and typically. And I know this isn't 100% accurate, but typically people on blood thinners are usually much older than I am. And she had mentioned that she had a huge influx of hospitalizations due to the flu, her patients being hospitalized because of how gnarly this strain of flu has been this year. Um, I feel very, very fortunate that it only hit me for a few days and then I'm kind of on the mend again because it was actually 2016 when I got the flu and it hospitalized me for 6 months, and I was not looking forward to repeating that. So yeah, I'm glad I'm doing better. I hope you guys are able to stay away from this flu as much as possible. Like Tom said, this flu is like the bad person that won't go away, and it's 100% true. I've had days where I feel better. I feel okay. I feel like I can, start doing things again. And it's like the flu virus heard me. And it's like, no, you're not. You're going to go watch TV in bed for a few hours because that's how much energy you have all of a sudden. So that's been kind of crap. Really kind of hate that. But doing what I can to take care of myself with using my inhaler, and we've got these emergency. It's like emergency, but in pixie stick form, which is kind of fun because it's also got basically pop rocks in it, which I don't know. It seems like a lot to put together, but it keeps me taking my emergency every day. So, so that's been probably helpful, at least to a certain degree as well. Oh man, looks like bad won't go away. Yeah. Let's see. Thankfully, I haven't had the flu this season. I had a head cold. Took a while to go away. Yeah. That was kind of what the first part of December felt like for me. And then we had some people over for Christmas, and I don't blame any of them. Nobody appeared to be sick. Everybody was doing well. And then like literally the day after Christmas, man, I was just like, I'm not doing anything. So it's been kind of a crapshoot. That's been part of the reason I haven't made any actual content in the last few weeks. Just been kind of a lack of energy, a lack of ability to focus, those sorts of things. Flameberg says, down with the flu right now, so is half my team at work, and most of them aren't faking it either. Yeah, I believe it. This one just really knocked me on my butt. And then the day after, I started feeling better. So I started feeling better the morning of the 30th, and my wife, the morning of the 31st, woke up feeling like trash. So we were in bed by like 8 o'clock, New Year's Eve. And we just woke up the next day. There was no party. There was no celebration. There was no, no drinks. No, just like we went to bed at like 8 o'clock, and we were just out. So, yeah, it's been pretty brutal, and I don't wish it on anybody. Man, that's. But the other part of one of the reasons I haven't been making content over the last couple of weeks. Is we talked about this a little bit last month, after I made the two home assistant videos and the shorts and that sort of thing that goes along with those. I'm kind of burnt out on only focusing on the Docker container stuff, right? I've really kind of pigeonholed myself into just talking about Docker containers that I don't care about, and I think that's been part of my onward trend of not having the motivation to do. Joshua, thank you so much for that. Thank you for that donation. That was really nice of you. Yeah, so I don't necessarily just want to create a video about absolutely everything that comes across my plate like I have been for the last couple of years. I want my videos to actually I guess be meaningful, if that makes any kind of sense. I don't want to make a video just for the sake of making a video. I want it to be something that I actually have some interest in, because a lot of the videos that I made last year, I made because I felt like there was somebody would find interest in it, but I really had to fake my interest in a lot of the different videos that I made last year. And I feel like that's me being disingenuous with both you and me. I feel like you guys deserve better than that. You deserve more authenticity as far as what I find interesting and what I want to share with the community, rather than just making a video about the 15th note-taking app that I've seen in the last month, or the dozenth file sharing, encrypted folder sharing kind of thing. Because that's been the trend lately, it seems. And that's getting repetitive. It's getting monotonous. It's getting, find another syllable for that. Synonym is the word I'm looking for there. It's so when I made the two different home assistant videos, they were videos that I wanted to make because they actually meant something to me. They meant something to my household. They meant something to my kid. Gave him a certain amount of autonomy that he hadn't had prior to that. And so I made two different videos. The second one bombed in comparison to the first one, which I was kind of butthurt about. But They're not all going to be winners, and I've learned to accept that over the last few years. But one of the issues that I've been having as I'm going through, Reddit or Ethan's self-host newsletter is that a huge chunk of the apps being created lately is they've been for the R stack, which I can't touch because YouTube will, in a certain right, flag that video. And because I understand why they would flag a video about the R stack or anything associated directly with sailing the high seas, as we like to call it. But a lot of the apps that I keep seeing as I'm scrolling through Reddit and that sort of thing is a lot of AI vibe coded apps. And I want to make sure that I've got the right thing here. Self-hosted r/self-hosted. That's the one. What happened to the Patreon videos? That's actually something, Josh, that I put out a post both on YouTube and on Patreon recently, talking about December's revenue and how approximately 40% of my revenue in December was a direct result of Patreon and channel memberships and that sort of thing. And even though I put out a post on both YouTube in my channel or my channel members posting section, as well as Patreon, only 2 people responded to that because I deliberately asked, you guys are paying me half or almost half of my monthly income. What do you want to see? And I think I only got two responses to that. And they were both like, I'm supporting you because I want to support you because I like what you do. Keep doing what you're doing, which is a fine answer. I'm not trying to complain about that. I want to be very clear. I appreciate people engaging with these posts, but not the answer I was looking for. I was genuinely trying to get feedback from the community about what I could do for the specific people who support me financially. And again, only 2 people responded to that. And that's been kind of hard. Hey, here's a third one from me with some feedback. There you go. So Tom says YouTube revenue is down across the board for content creators lately. Yeah. And I think there's a number of reasons for that. And I think one of them kind of ties into what we've been talking about here a little bit, and that's AI. And I think AI, okay, great. I think, and Linus and Luke talked about it a little bit on the WAN show recently. I caught one of their LMG clips where they just broke out that part of their conversation, where they were showing they were showing their YouTube homepage and what they were being fed. And what they were being fed was live streams, AI slop, and shorts, rather than the VODs, the video on demand, the VODs, whatever you want to call it. They were being fed a lot of stuff that wasn't engaging. Like their entire homepage on their YouTube account was, again, AI slop, shorts, and live streams. And the AI gen videos are thinning the video view counts. And that's the other thing that I've kind of got my own thoughts on with regards to the live, or not the live streams, but shorts in general, right? People will build their entire channel on shorts. And that's fine if that's what they want to do. But a video that let's say a standard long form VOD video, whatever, just your regular video, let's say it gets 100,000 views, and let's say it makes $1,000. A short will also get, let's say, 100,000 views and make $10. YouTube is making more money on the back end. This is my opinion. YouTube is making more money on the back end of shorts because they can feed more shorts to people in a shorter amount of time. If you're flipping through shorts constantly, YouTube is still getting that ad revenue from the advertiser in the shorts feed. And I know they're not charging as much, but they're also paying out considerably less money to the creators who are making shorts. And I think because YouTube is making more money on shorter videos that take up less of their hard drive space, that's why they're pushing shorts so hard. They make more money, it costs them less money, they're paying out less money to the shorts creators. And as a result of that, you've got people who are manipulating the system by creating garbage shorts that amount to nothing. They're low effort, they're not adding anything of any substance to the platform. They have AI write a script, they get AI like 11 labs to read the script, they throw a video game montage over it and call it, and somehow those videos are getting hundreds of thousands or millions of views with misinformation that doesn't actually add anything. And as a result of that, they're making a ton of money with no effort, while those of us who are actually putting in effort to create content are getting kind of pushed out. And I think it's crap and I hate it. The idea that I can spend, days working on a video and get, a decent click-through rate and a decent retention time. And when I say decent click-through rate, I mean 7, 8, 9, 10% is very common for my videos in the first 24 hours. But then, like, I'm getting these retentions, I'm getting these click-throughs, and I get 5,000 views. And that's super frustrating. Like, if all of my other numbers are good, then why isn't YouTube pushing my content out to more people if my metrics are good? It doesn't make sense to me. And it's frustrating. It's super, super frustrating to go and put out a decent amount of effort and then get buried because AI slop is what YouTube's pushing across the board. Dead6 says, I ended up disabling my history so the home feed doesn't serve me garbage. I still get the feed of whom I'm subscribed to through the subscribe tab. Much better experience. I believe that. I've done something. I haven't disabled my watch history or whatever, but the stuff that YouTube shows me on my basically my For You page, my homepage, is infuriating. For a number of reasons. One, they just keep showing me the same 10 videos that I have no interest in, or they show me videos that I've already watched recently. If I go to the homepage and I click, like new to you across the top, it will show me different videos that I have no interest in or that I've already watched recently. And with the number of content creators on here, the number of videos being released, for it to only think that I only want to watch the stuff that I've not shown any interest in, why do you keep showing me the same garbage? Why do you keep showing me stuff I've already watched? Like the history bar is full. Why, like the watch time history bar on a video is full. Why do you think I want to watch that video again? It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Jason says, I don't like shorts, and YouTube likes to shove shorts at me all the time. Yep. Tom says, I feel like sites like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram should flag or watermark videos and post if they are AI generated so people know. Yeah, so, but here's the problem, is that requires the user to engage with that. Like, I agree that there should be something like that there should be some accountability. But like, here's the thing. I'm gonna see if I can find something here. I'm gonna go into my content. I'm going to edit this video. I go to more. All right. So this is when I get there, right? This is desktop, right? Hey, there we go. Okay. I'm gonna shut off the chat for just a moment there. Okay, this is my video about what I did with the Plex tablet integration thing the other day, right? So I scroll down, and it says like, hey, is this made for kids? No, it's not made for kids. Hey, does this have paid promotion? No, it doesn't have paid promotion. Is there a brand you'd like to tag here? Nope. Does any of the following describe your content? Makes a real person appear to say or do something they didn't do or say. Alters footage of a real event or place. Or generates a realistic looking scene that didn't actually occur, yes or no. So they're asking, does your video have AI in it? Mine doesn't, I'm gonna say that. But it allowed me to upload this video and share it with the world without tagging that yes or no. So there's no accountability. There's nothing in there that requires the user to be authentic about their answer there. If it is found out, I believe, that somebody's answered that incorrectly a multitude of times, they can receive a community guideline strike or a ban or whatever, right? But at that point, it's too late. They've already made their money. They've already made their garbage, right? Oh, geez, somebody, Jan, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. I really, really appreciate your support there. You have low-hanging fruit. I agree with what you're saying. YouTube quality has really fallen off. I know I'm like 5 minutes behind. I've been rambling. What happened with Floatplane? Did that ever take off, or did most folks move to Patreon? People are still on Floatplane. I've applied to Floatplane a couple of different times and never heard anything back. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Very careful on what I click and only subscribe to channels that are mentioned by other creators that I subscribe to. Yeah, YouTube lately has been showing me old videos, most that I've seen instead of new content. Mine started doing that, showing stuff I've already watched. The stream quality, oh, that's that's Nightbot. I added some stuff to Nightbot last night just for the giggles of it. Use AI to flag AI content. It's like that cat ate its own tail. Yeah. Borg Swarm, dude, how you doing? I'm glad to have you here. Glad that you were able to catch this live stream. I've just been ranting for about 20 minutes about the downfall of YouTube and how there's probably never going to be anybody or anything that's going to fix it. Nightbot's humor's on point this year. Yeah, I added some stuff that'll start popping up kind of randomly based on certain criteria. Just the amount of lines chatted in a certain time frame. I just kind of put in random numbers, so I never know what's going to come up here. But thought I would throw some stuff in there just for the giggles of it. But yeah, so I'm concerned that YouTube is favoring short form AI slop because it's cheaper for them to store, advertise on, and pay for. So I have a feeling that we're going to continue to see more and more AI slop on YouTube, and of course, I say that, but also on TikTok, on Instagram, on all of these different platforms. Like, it's just going to be a matter of AI slop moving forward, and in the long run, the people who are creating it don't care because they're making their bag, but at the expense of people who actually care enough to create real content for their views, for their viewers, for their community, for the people who want to watch a real person. I use add-on filter to filter out shorts. Sadly, not possible with AI slop yet, right? Yeah, and it's going to be a cat and mouse game across the board. Collins brings up the issue with Grok, and what Grok has been doing, and that's been really gross. And it's even grosser that they won't shut it down. If you're not familiar, basically Grok has been pumping out AI revenge porn and CSAM material, and the Twitter people haven't done anything to slow that down. and that just blows my mind. Like, creating that kind of content is illegal. Don't care where you live, it's illegal. And they're not doing anything to prevent it or slow it down. They're not banning accounts. They're not doing, oh yeah, the answer is to put it by. So yeah, you can pay. Now you have to pay to create revenge porn and CSAM material. Cool. So now you're paying to be a garbage human being, and you're not getting in trouble for creating illegal content. I hope it ends quickly. I genuinely do, but I don't. If Elon's going to make, or is going to be able to make money on people creating content that he finds funny, whether it's legal or not, he's not going to stop them. Been PC shopping for the wife and all the garbage AI stuff, reviews of hardware. Yeah. So there was one company, and you guys will probably get it before I will. There was a company that realized recently, maybe it was Dell or something, realized, oh yeah, like AI isn't what people want. So they've decided to not, yeah, okay, so it was Dell that was like, yeah, we're not going to push this AI stuff that nobody's asked for. And good on them. Like, I wish more companies would take that hint, but people want their AI chip in their computer for no reason. Even the UK government is equating blocking access to Grok due to that situation. Good. I think they should. I 100% think that they should. Like, if any other platform was creating that kind of content, or gave users the ability to create that content, I think that they should be shut down. It's not just, whether it's Twitter or Meta or whoever. Like, if they're going to give users the ability to create that kind of content, I think they should be shut down. It was Jan who gifted you that membership. It was very nice of him to do that a little while ago. But I don't understand why people think they need the AI coprocessor in their laptop, in their mini PC, in their whatever, right? Like, I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past, as far as, we have to have the garbage now so we can have the better stuff later. But to push so hard on it for it to not be actually relevant, it, like, cool, you can blur the background when you're on a business meeting. You can use it to fix your audio in certain applications. Like, most of the apps that are out there right now don't use the NPU in your CPU yet, because they're not very powerful. They don't do very much other than clean up your audio and video a little bit when you're using Teams, and that's about all it does right now. I guess you can use it in Audition, but that's about it. Like, I'm pretty sure the mini PC that I'm on right now has an NPU. Yep, it does. My laptop has an NPU. The Alaris One has an NPU, and I've never actually seen it do anything on any of my devices. Edge IoT is the best case. Using AI, so I'm using the AI chip. Maybe been using the open code to create 3-node AI cluster. Possibly, but I doubt it. Like, unless the code is specifically written for the NPU in your device, it's going to use CPU cores first. Or if it was written to use the GPU, it'll do that first. But unless it's specifically written to use the NPU, gosh, what was the? There's oops, hold on. What plugin for Audition? If I type NPU, yeah, OpenVino, Lemonade on Windows. Okay, so Lemonade uses it. OpenVino uses the NPU. Let's see. Let's look at this. Like, what plugin for NPU? OpenVINO for Intel AMD, integrating with apps like GIMP and OBS, and the Ascend plugin for running large language models on Huawei Ascend NPUs. I don't. Does for the Strix Halo if it's NPU. NPU is for improving prompt processing. I have run some local stuff on here, or not on this unit, but on my laptop when I first got it. It was November of 24. I ran some AI stuff on that, and I really had to push hard to find a piece of software that would use the NPU in the system. And even then, it was such a small amount of effort that it was putting out that it wasn't really doing anything to make my CPU usage any lower. I think the only NPU truly is being used by the Apple Silicon right now. Well, that's because they've got the unified memory, and they're able to do more with that. And that's the Apple Silicon's doing a lot more than anything Windows is doing right now. And that's just because Apple controls the entire process from the hardware to the software. They manage that entire chain of information there, so they can be much more diligent about doing things like unified memory and that sort of thing. Let's see, don't forget to opt out of the new options you got in Gmail account. The new AI will be on by default on all Gmail accounts, reading all of your mails to create helpful summaries. Yeah, mine's been doing that for a long time, and it doesn't seem to matter if I turn it off or not. Every time there's an update, they turn it back on, and so I've just kind of given up. Like, let it read my email. I rarely have anything in my email of any importance. Anything that matters is handled on a third-party platform for me. So the M5 series should be very interesting for local AI, especially if Apple rolls out some strong local models. And maybe they will. I've seen a couple of different people. Jake from LTT recently built a pretty beefy Mac cluster. I think Geerling did as well. Did something like that recently, where they had this like $30,000 Mac cluster that was all connected via Thunderbolt cables, and that's cool, but that's not for your average consumer. Like, your average person, no, I don't think anybody in this community is going to pay 30 grand to have their AI be a little faster. That seems like a huge issue, like a huge waste of money to me. So I don't know. I'm concerned with where we are with AI right now. Excuse me, geez, that came out of nowhere. Like when we're talking about AI slop videos, and when we go over to Reddit, right? You go into r/self-hosted, and they've got these tags here, right? And some people will actually tag AI assisted app. Geez, a little drink here. So I went ahead and I clicked AI assisted app, brought me over here. This is self-hosted Flare name AI assisted app up here. And we can scroll through here and we can see all of these apps that are basically vibe coded. And I'm not saying all of these are 100% vibe coded. Jeez. But it scares me that there are this many AI assisted apps in here because if you're vibe coding an app to do something on your home network and you decide or unknowingly decide to make it publicly available on the internet through a reverse proxy and a domain name, you don't know what it's going to do, right? And that scares me. And I'm not trying to call out anybody specifically in this list, but how many of these people got on, Claude or Chat GPT or Gemini or whatever, and was like, hey, I want to create an app that does this. And then the AI creates that app, and they're like, cool, there's my app. I'm going to share this over on r/self-hosted as this app that I created. And I've scrolled through some of these apps, and I've seen where people have absolutely 100% been like, I vibe coded this, here it is. And I've seen other people who are like, look, I got the foundation of it. The basic foundation of this app was done through AI, but then I kind of took that and built it from there as an actual developer. And I don't necessarily have as much of a problem with that, but the people who are just like, I want an app that does X, Y, or Z to the AI chatbot, and the AI chatbot spits out some code and they upload it, they haven't, I think in a lot of cases, gone so far as to do a security check on it, or a security audit done on their app. They haven't taken the time to know if their app is secure. They don't know if there are memory leaks. They don't know if there is, a CORS vulnerability or an XSS vulnerability, which is kind of the same thing, but not quite. There's a lot of these apps that are getting released as a vibe code. I don't believe that these people who are calling themselves vibe code developers or vibe coders or whatever have the wherewithal to know where the security patch or where the security vulnerabilities in their apps are. And that's terrifying. That's terrifying to me that they're sharing these apps, and and they don't know about the security vulnerabilities in the app that they're trying to claim is a good, fun app. That terrifies me. I'm moving everything off of Gmail because I live in Pennsylvania, where we have new law due to Google TLS. We have no right to privacy on Google applications. That sucks. That sucks. I don't know why more states haven't done like what California did years ago with like the don't sell my information thing. I genuinely don't understand why more states haven't done that. Like how many of these local state governments are being paid off by data brokers to allow them to keep buying and selling your data? I know this isn't a segue into Aura or whatever. It blows me away that they're allowing these companies to just sell your data ad nauseum, and you're getting nothing from it other than potential data breaches of your information. It's gross. I really don't understand why that's still being allowed. Gearling did a Mac cluster too. Yep, it was all given to him just to test. Yep, I saw that. It's all data collection for them to make money. As far as these AI add-ons for sites, yeah, 100%. And like I actually shared this. Man, I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can get logged into this, because I think no. Screw off. Sign in. Unlock. Let me see if I can get in here. It's this one and that one. Yeah. Here we go. Oops. Dang it. Come on. Open that. I want to make sure that I don't. Yeah. Okay. So, this morning, I shared this post across social media so that people could know that I was going live in 3 hours, right? Shouldn't be concerned about the security of vibe-coded, self-hosted apps. Join the conversation, 10 o'clock, there's link, right? And Daniel Brendel, if you're not familiar with Daniel, he is a developer. He did Hortus Fox, which if you're into plants, like if you I like to take care of plants and that sort of thing. Hortus Fox is a great app for doing that. And he's like, I don't have a YouTube account anymore, so I can't comment on the live stream. But my opinion is, if they make an app that they don't technically understand, then it's a fallacious attempt to build one, which I 100% agree with. And he continues, also, who owns the app legally? This would create a disastrous dependencies on the AI provider, right? Like who does the data breach fall on? Was it the person who created the app, or was it the developer or the AI platform who actually created the app? Where does that fall? Which I hadn't even considered at that point. And then I followed up with, if they don't understand best practices for security, they're not going to know what to look for to secure their app. To which he said that's also a serious concern. And I actually hadn't considered copyright or trademark or whatever. If somebody vibe codes or somebody creates a story, like writes a book with AI, who actually owns the copyright? If somebody creates an app via AI, who actually owns the trademark or the copyright on that? And that confuses. Like, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal scholar. I don't know. I hear you on the AI marketing. Claude Code has been a major game changer for both at work for non-coding business. Look, here's the thing. Like, I use AI pretty regularly to help me write code. Like the dashboard that I wrote for my son's tablet to connect to Plex and then to his TV, that was all done via Claude. Claude's great for certain things, but again, I'm not releasing that code out into the public. I'm not releasing that code for just anybody to go out and use. I considered it. I did. It was something that I'd actually considered, but then if I release that code and then later we find that there's a security flaw in it and somebody's like, well, I used your code, so it's your fault. I don't want to be responsible for that. That's why I didn't release it. Like, I showed the code. You could pause the screen and you could copy, or you could manually type all that out if you wanted to. But I think part of the problem is, or the reason I didn't want to release it, like I said, is for security reasons. If there's a vulnerability in that code, I don't want to be responsible for having released it into the wild. And I fear that most people won't. Most people may be unfair. I feel a lot of people won't think about that. They'll write the code and they'll release it, say, hey, this code's been tested. Cool. In what circumstances has it been tested? Has it actually been pen tested? Has it actually gone through a rigorous security testing from people who actually know how to security test the code? So yeah, again, I think AI is good for certain things, but people that are releasing AI code into the wild without security testing, that's what scares me. Panthers Army Gaming says, how are you, sir? Well, I'm doing okay. Feeling a bit ranty today, as maybe you can tell. Tom says, oh, look, I wrote an app and it was really generated by AI, never proofed by them. Yeah. They should be putting them on GitHub and ask people to help to make sure the code is okay for general release. I agree. I think that's a great idea. Laws can only be made by people who actually know what they're looking at. And most of them, not all politicians, don't know squat about tech except that they're being told by the lobby. Yeah, by the lobby group. You're 100% right. I agree that there's a framework that they would need for security through community support. I wonder what open source licenses say about AI generated apps. You're right. That's a good question. I don't know. Let's find out. What do open source licenses do with AI generated apps? Let's find out. Open source licenses primarily govern human written code, but their application to AI generated apps is complex. They typically apply to copyrightable parts requiring disclosure for AI contributions. And of course, look, this is AI summary, so this could be wrong too. While AI models themselves are often use specific responsible AI libraries that add certain restrictions, no harmful uses, not found in traditional open source, creating uncertainty about compliance and distinguishing between code and the model, with the general rule being that users must check the specific licenses of both the model and any generated code for obligations like attributions and restrictions. So there you go. I don't know if that helps to answer your question. But also, if you already know how to code and know what proper code looks like, it can absolutely be beneficial. I agree with that. That's why, like I mentioned earlier, somebody had said, hey, look, I had an idea for an app. I had AI build the foundation, and then I took it from there. I don't have a problem with that. If you're an actual developer, or you have somebody who can look over your code when it's to a point that you're comfortable having it reviewed, that's great. Build it in AI, have it reviewed, make sure it's secure, and then release it. But I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. I feel like a lot of people are going to release a bare bones thing and then release it and not ever do a security audit on it. And that's my biggest frustration on the self-hosted app side of things, is that I feel like that's becoming more and more of a thing. And I think some people will then take their app from, let's say, Claude, and then they'll take it over to ChatGPT and be like, hey, review this code, make sure it's okay. And I don't feel like, and they will then likely call that a security audit without actually having a person ever actually review the code appropriately. I feel like people are going to try to do this more and more and more often, and I feel like it's going to start creating security implications in the apps that are being released for people to put on their home labs. The challenge comes from those who may not know how to code or don't know coding fundamentals, using AI to build an app without any knowledge whatsoever of what that code is actually doing. Yep. I've used AI to generate some bash scripts for Proxmox and Nut. So have I. I didn't have to redo the code. I could tell the logic was wrong. I haven't coded anything in almost a decade. Look, and that's fine. You're using that locally. You're using that on your setup. If you do that on your setup and your system is compromised, that's your fault, right? That's not AI's fault for giving you bad code. That's your fault for not knowing how to look at the code and make sure that there was something right or wrong about it. And if you're able to look through there and see, oh, this logic is wrong, then at least you've got more of an understanding about what you've done with that code than a lot of people will who are releasing code into the wild. And look, I know that's not 100% always the case. I know that there are people who are doing the right thing, who are doing the audits, who are doing that. But I feel like there's going to be people who are going to create an AI app and release it, and then they're going to have AI write a script about it, and then they're going to have 11 labs read that script about it, and they're going to use AI across the board to create an app and promotional content without ever doing a security audit. And I feel like that's kind of where we're headed until something changes. And like it was mentioned earlier, the people who are making the laws about it or not making the laws about it don't have a clue about half of the words I've used in this conversation. And that's terrifying. It's really, really scary that the people who are supposed to be making laws and keeping us safe are some of the most ignorant people. And I say ignorant, not stupid, because ignorant is not knowing. Stupid is knowing and doing it anyway. You can fix ignorance by learning. If you fix your ignorance by learning and then choose to do the wrong thing, then you're stupid. A literacy review from a lawyer regarding civil liability. You can create an AI app that is later used by someone for something nasty. Are you that made, where does the liability fall? I was kind of alluding to that earlier, but that's why I didn't want to release the code that I used into the wild, because I don't want to take the chance of possibly being responsible for somebody having their system compromised based on code that I used AI to generate so that my son's tablet could talk to his TV through Home Assistant. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. It's and I think it's going to be a long time, because there was a push for a while anyway. I don't know if it ever went through about there was call for a law to be put in place that would restrict the ability to create laws about AI. Laws about AI for 10 years. And I don't know. Let's see. The U.S. voted open. Okay. The U.S. Senate, look, we'll just do this. This is Ogletree. I don't know anything about them. U.S. Senate unanimously voted to remove a proposed 10-year ban that sought to restrict states and municipalities from enacting enforcing laws regulating the related artificial intelligence. Okay, good. Yeah, they were absolutely trying to make sure that, or put in place laws that would prevent laws from being created for AI for a decade. The amount of damage that could be done in a decade could be irreparable. So I'm glad that that didn't actually go through. Also, speaking of AI slop, does anyone have any experience using Hive to connect to Llama instances? I'm using Claude Code to help, but can't find any resources to help level up my knowledge of it. I don't have any information about any of that. I had AI running for a while, like when I made my Home Assistant thing last year or whenever that was with the snarky AI. But my wife is using that GPU. No, I lied. I actually did that before that. Anyway, I'm not using AI anywhere in my home lab. The only system I've got that's able to handle a GPU of that size is the HL15, and I powered that off months ago when I brought up the ZimaCube, and I've got my ARC A310 in that, and it's been great. I'm not surprised certain people aren't making virus codes. I'm willing to bet that people are absolutely doing that. They're creating these types of apps, or viruses rather. I'm sure that's absolutely happening. People will always find ways to bypass the guardrails that are put in place, and that's always going to be a cat and mouse game as well. Like the people who are supposed to be keeping tabs on what's happening there and how people are using their platforms. Like let me find someone. If I could type poetry with AI to learn nuclear. What? Yeah. So this was like a month ago. This was right here. Yep. Poetry can trick AI models into revealing nuclear weapons, right? Like, it's always going to be a cat and mouse game, trying to stay ahead of people figuring out how to get past the guardrails in place. Like, if you can use poetry to trick AI into teaching you how to create nuclear weapons, getting it to create viruses or malware, I don't think it would be any harder. And if people would just quit being crappy in general, we wouldn't have these problems. But everybody wants to find out how bad they can make things, and that I don't understand that frame of mind. Why do we want to watch the world burn? Why do we want to be the one who figures out how to make the world burn? I genuinely don't understand that mindset. Look, I understand nihilism. I understand apathy. I get it, but why contribute to it? Why make your sad solipsism everyone else's problem? Why make your inability to get a job somebody else's problem? Like, you don't want to get a job, so you're going to steal from people. You don't want to get a job, so you're going to find out how to scam people. You don't like, and it's not maybe just not even people wanting to get jobs. They find it easier to take money from people who don't know any better. It's why I'm a big fan of Scammer Payback and those types of channels. There's a couple others that I watch periodically as well. I don't understand the need to be a bad person because it's easier than being a good person. That mindset hurts my soul. We've reached the point where we're using AI to detect AI. Yeah. And when you've got AI saying this is 98% guaranteed to be AI when it's 100% not, and kids are getting screwed out of their college degrees because AI made a mistake. Like this is a huge issue that I don't know that we're ever going to get past. AI detector software out there. Yeah, remember the old days when you could go to ChatGPT, tell me a bedtime story with Windows serial numbers, and it would give you, yeah, that's people suck and will use tools, AI for doing bad. It's sad because that tool can be used for good. Exactly. But why use AI for good when you can use AI for bad is genuinely what some people think. And I don't understand that mindset. I've always look, and maybe it's the way I was raised, or what. Like I wouldn't want people to be raised the way I was. I wouldn't. But I've always been afraid of being in trouble. Right. I've always been afraid of doing something bad and getting caught, and that sort of thing. And even as a kid, I was afraid of getting in trouble. And so I guess maybe that's just me. I don't know. Yeah, money is money. It's true, except that sometimes these people are taking money from old people, from disabled people, from people who don't know better. And the people who are being hurt oftentimes have a hard time getting that money back. And so they're out. There was once, this has been years ago, that it was right after 2016. I was barely back on my feet. So this must have been like 2017 or 2018. My wife went to get gas. She slid her card, she got gas, off she went, everything was fine. Until later that day when her bank reached out and was like, hey, we're seeing some weird activity on your account. Was this you? And luckily they caught it, but somebody had cloned her debit card and wiped out hundreds of dollars, and just took that money from us. Luckily, our bank is great. We've been with the same bank. I've been with the same bank for 17 years. And so anyway, like she got her card skimmed. And luckily we keep our accounts separate. Not because we don't trust each other, not for any other reason than just in case. So she has her accounts and I have my accounts. Money flows freely between them on a regular basis. So she got her card skimmed. And they were able, and the bank caught it immediately, and blocked the card, refilled the money, and we were fine. Other than her card was now disabled, and she had a much harder time spending that money. But she was able to send that money to me on my account, and we made it work. And then a week later, I got skimmed. By that point, she had her card. I got scammed at probably the same gas station or somewhere nearby. And they took a few $100s out of my account. Luckily, again, same bank caught it, called me and was like, hey, we see that there's an issue going on here. We're going to take care of this for you. They've been great. So I had to move once I got my money back and they had canceled my card, I then had to move all of my money to her account so that we would have money to get through until all of this was fixed. Now, if I can't tap my card at a gas station, I don't get gas there unless it's an emergency, and then I will go in and have them. I will tap inside. But we have a policy of if I can't tap my card to get gas, I don't get gas there, because 2 times in 2 weeks we got scammed, and it was a huge cluster. So it isn't just AI where we're finding the shittiest people around. It's in the world in general, people trying to take advantage of people because it's easier for them to be bad people than it is for them to try to do something decent with the knowledge that they have. So yeah, ADHD Entertainment says, I love scammer payback. Same. Thank God the internet isn't the Wild West anymore. I disagree. I think we're in a different version of the Wild West. Well, I also agree that it's a cesspool. The money comment. was towards people who commit these acts. Yeah, that's fair. To them, it's just money. They don't care. My grandmother was scammed out of $75,000 and the FBI was helpless. That sucks. I got a call from my aunt, one of my aunts, a few years ago, because my grandmother was going through some health issues and she wanted us to help deal with some things. And she needed help kind of going through insurance documents and bank statements and that sort of thing. And as I was going through bank statements, like there was a period of time, like every day I would see a withdrawal from my grandmother's checking account of like $300 to $500, literally every day, because somebody got her with the extended warranty scam. Eventually she got all of her money back. But yeah, they were taking $300 to $500 a day out of my grandmother's account because they could, because they were shitty people. I recently moved financial institutions and had to go with a branch because they were confused as to why I was opening so many accounts at once. And it's because I segment everything. Yeah, like there are some people who have more money than I do that have had to go into their bank and be like, look, if I'm not here in a branch and you verified my identity by physically looking at my face, don't touch my account. Don't let wire transfers happen. Don't let any of these things happen unless I'm actually in your branch and you can physically verify who I am. I'm lucky I haven't had to do that. But you can't log into my bank account unless you're on one of two different IP addresses. Other than that, like if I'm out and I need to check my bank account, I have a process I have to go through because I don't want to run that risk. If you're not logged into one of two different IP addresses, you can't access my bank account. I can't access my bank account. So yeah, like I've had to take certain steps just to make sure that I'm better protected. Some people may not agree, but I use Apple Pay for everything when I'm out of the house. Exceptions are restaurants, and that's usually about it. That's fair. I also heard that Chase is taking over Apple Pay. I think it was like, was it Chase? Oops, man, I can't type today. Taking over Apple Pay. Yeah, they're switching from Goldman Sachs to Chase. Will be the new issuer for Apple cards and Apple Pay and that sort of thing. I don't have anything Apple, so it doesn't really apply to me. But I've had really good luck with Chase. Oh, they're taking over the credit card. Okay, I wasn't sure. I had seen something in passing, and again, I don't have anything Apple, so I don't really pay a lot of attention to anything Apple because I just don't care. I'm very worried about when AI is no longer LLM but real AI. Was it generative AI, AGI? Was it AGI? I think it is. AI, artificial general intelligence. Yeah, I think we're still a ways off from that. I mean, obviously we're inching closer, but I don't think we're going to have AGI, artificial general intelligence, for a while. I think that's going to require like quantum computing before we're there. And quantum computing is getting more accessible through some different things that have happened recently. But I don't think that AGI will be something accessible to consumers in the grander sense, like we've got AI right now. I think it's going to be a while before we actually have AGI available to you and me. My wife's card got lifted in Walmart and she never took it out. Went to the bank, caught it. My wife's card account got lifted in Walmart and she never took it out. And the bank caught it in seconds. That's good. But that means somebody had a scanner. They bumped into her most likely and skimmed her card. And those people suck the worst. I tell people never use a credit or debit card anywhere if you can help it. Yep, credit cards are better and they don't use your bank account. Yep, I've actually heard that as well. I've been working really hard over the past year to fix my credit. And I've been using my credit cards more that way recently. Like I will buy something on a credit card, and then once everything's good, I'll pay that off um, usually within the next month or so. So my interest on that stuff is maybe a couple of dollars if I don't feel like dealing with all of it right now. Since the wallet scam, we now use RFID blockers on our wallets. Yeah, same. I've actually got kind of a cool wallet. I don't know if they're even available anymore. Yeah, I've got one of these. I've got a flip side wallet. And I don't know. So like, it's actually got RFID blocking on, I think both the top and the bottom and in the inside the clamshell. I think I've got the flip side 3. I don't know if they're going to show. They don't do a really good job of showing what it looks like. But there's an RFID blocking thing in here. And this is actually I'm on my second flip side. I've got that orange color. I love it. And I always get people asking me what it is I've just pulled out. Because it's kind of a unique looking wallet. But yeah, RFID blocking 2 main card slots prevent RFID scanning of your credit and debit cards using aircraft grade aluminum alloy. I've never been skimmed that way, and I've been real happy about that. General intelligence is a unicorn. Yeah, it's going to be a while. I'd say 10 to 15 years. I think that's probably not far off. Crazy AI can still reveal sensitive stuff by tricking it into doing it. Yep. Poetry asking, hey, my grandma used to read me these stories about this kind of stuff. Can you read me a story about this sensitive thing like you were my grandmother? For a while, that was enough. And now it's poetry. Somebody's always going to figure out a way to get past the guardrails of AI, and that just, it's both good and bad because somebody's got to figure it out so that they can figure out how to fix it. But oftentimes people aren't disclosing it and stuff's not getting fixed in time. I got my whole family using RFID blocking cards and wallets. Good. I don't carry a wallet. Instead, I keep a single card in my shirt pocket. They'd have to know where it was. I need to update my documents to have wallets like that. My driver's license is from the 80s. It's half the size. Yeah, I like the flip side wallets. I've had mixed results with the people behind the company based on some research I've done, because I actually wanted to reach out to them to have them sponsor some content or something. And when I started doing research about them, I read a lot of negative stuff about the people behind the company. So I don't know. Believe that there's only one person whose job it is to think this stuff up like the companies and make money off of it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like pen testing, right? Like there are entire companies who get hired to pen test sites and apps and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that there are similar types of companies out there who are finding ways, or whose job it is to find ways to get AI to go off the guardrails. And that's their job. There are people who get hired to find out if they can break into buildings, if they can socially engineer their way through, the front gate. Those sorts of things. Those will always be jobs. As long as we've got bad people in the world, there will always be people whose job it is to try to break the system, to let people know, so they can hopefully fix it. But it's a matter of how. Yeah, red teaming. There you go. But it's a matter of, will the companies actually fix it? Will they actually take the time to figure out how to block those specific guardrails from having been circumvented? That's the word I'm looking for. And it's always going to be a cat and mouse game. Like I don't think there's ever going to be a point at which the security is perfect. I don't know that the security can be perfect. I think it's going to be, or if it is, it's going to be a long time, because that's people are always looking for a way to do the wrong thing for the wrong reasons, and that sucks. That makes me sad for humanity. That that people just think, well, I'll just do the wrong thing for the wrong reason and make money off of it. Let somebody else pick up the pieces of how I've screwed their lives over for the last however long. Makes me sad for humanity sometimes, you know? Oh, man. Let's see. Let's just looking to see if there's anything over here jumping out at me. One of the other things, and kind of going back to C26 maybe you're doing a home lab with old hardware. I mean, old due to the amount of stuff out there. I don't know what's gonna happen with home labbing this year. You know, we've seen, we've talked about it quite a bit over in the Discord. Where, you know, somebody bought, you know, a 32 gig kit of RAM, like a 2x16 RAM kit for $110, you know, 6 months ago. And now that same kit's $700. And that sucks. That's driving up the prices of everything across the board. And that sucks. And of course that's going to trickle down to, you know, the home lab market, like on eBay. Yeah, and that was, it's funny, like when you shared that in Discord, Collins, you actually shared a screenshot of that, or you actually shared two screenshots of that, what you bought it for, and then what the new price of it is. I showed those two. I was laying in bed watching TV with my wife the other night, and I showed her that, and I was like, this is the exact kit of memory that's in my Alaris One. You know, it went from $160 to $750 basically overnight, and that sucks. I'm genuinely surprised. I'm over here on eBay, right? This has got 16 gigs of RAM. It's probably DDR3. I don't know if it's actually going to tell me. I'd probably have to look. I'd probably have to look it up. Yeah, DDR3 with a Xeon processor in that. 16 gigs of RAM. But again, it's DDR3 with a Xeon processor, which is going to be not nearly as energy efficient as we would like it to be. But still, that price isn't terrible. Like if you needed to do something, this has got an i7, but it doesn't tell us what gen it is. 1 year warranty. Yeah, Intel Core i7 second gen. So this is about like a 2400, 2500, whatever. It doesn't actually say. It's a second gen i7. Second gen i7. 2600 probably then. So we're dealing with very, very old stuff here. 4 cores, 8 thread, 32 nanometer lithography there, 95 watt TDP. End of service was 2019. Does it say when? Q1 of 2011. That's the processor in this device. Second gen i7, $129. Blows me away. Sorry, I've been sick. I haven't been on the Discord in a couple of weeks, dude. Don't even worry about it. I think it's going around. Lots of people not in the Discord lately. It's been pretty quiet recently. So no offense taken, man. Sad part is PC makers now selling new stuff, bare bones, because of the prices. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. But when you're looking at, you know, second gen stuff that came out literally 14 years ago, is what people are having to go to in order to get anything at a reasonable price. Again, another i7 second gen, and I'm sure that's what a lot of these are going to be. Is i7 second gen. $170 for that. What are we dealing with? Oh, this is an i7 6th gen, which still, what are we dealing with? Dell Optiplex 5040. 2015, 2016. So still 10 years, like 10-year-old stuff. With the i5, let's look up an i5 5600, or sorry, 6500. I said that backwards. Having a dyslexic moment there. 14 nanometer, so we've closed the gap there. Launched Q3 of 2015, 65 watts. That's better. Look, I agree. The 6500 isn't bad. It's better than the 2600, right? And again, a 65 watt TDP, it's better, but it's also an extra $50. And that sucks, man. Like it sucks that things have gotten so bad in the new market that the old market, the resale market from 10 years ago, is this much. Yeah, we've got an Intel Xeon E1226 with 16 gigs RAM and a terabyte for call it $100 because $40 worth of shipping. Like we're seeing the prices on old stuff coming way up. It wasn't that long ago you could get an 8th or a 9th gen for this price. But because of everything going on, it's affecting the entire market all the way back. And that sucks. That sucks a lot. An i5 3400 for $90. 8 gigs of RAM. That sucks. Let's look at Amazon. Let's look at mini PCs. Camrui, I've actually got something like that. It's not a bad price. 16 gigs of RAM. Ryzen 4300, which is an older processor. Let's look. AMD Ryzen 4300U. When was this? January of 2020. So that's 6 years. Even that processor is 6 years old. For $237 as a mini PC. Man. Number one had money saved and wanted to build a PC now. We scrapped it because of price. I'm letting him borrow my, yeah, like that's good. It's good that you got the old hardware, or the old, I don't know, hardware laying around. But it still sucks that this is where we are. Like, you know, it's unfortunate that we can't have nice things anymore because OpenAI bought all of the chips for the next year. One of those janky, I think one of those and some janky, be a great learning lab. Sure. Uptime, not so much, depending on how janky you go. That's true. It's going to be, I think my N150 mini PC I bought for $130 is now about $200. That doesn't surprise me. I wonder. I want to look at something. ASUS. I'm curious about. So I was looking over here. So I was curious about like the ASUS NUC 14 Pro Plus. I don't remember what it was when I made this video. But I don't think it was $1,100. Let's see. I had to repurpose one of my old i7 3770s with a 1070 and 32 gigs DDR3 for her to use till the price drops eventually, right? But we don't know when that price is going to drop. We don't know when, because all of the RAM and the storage has been bought up basically for the next year or so, and so nobody's going to build another foundry. Nobody's going to eat that cost for the sake of the user or the average, you know, gamer desktop user or whatever. Yeah, it'll be at least 3 years. I agree with that. And that sucks because it's going to cost them $1 billion to build a new foundry. and they're not going to just eat that cost for the sake of the consumer. Like, they've got to make that money up, and the fastest way to make that money up is to keep the prices at a higher rate so they can make their money back faster. But by that point, what's the point? Like, it's not going to make any difference in the grand scheme of things for them to build more foundries, because they're still going to make up their price or their cost later on. And then let's say they built the foundry, right? And they're producing even more chips, right? Then there'll be an oversaturation of chips when the bubble bursts, and then it'll be another issue of a different version of the bubble. It's a no-win situation. And we buy a large number of servers, and we got told by Dell to expect delays on even non-AI stuff, plus a heavy price increase. That doesn't surprise me. RAM and storage, at least here, storage has been going up in price since last November. Yeah, well, yeah, that's when I think that's about the time that OpenAI bought. When did OpenAI buy all the chips? So OpenAI didn't buy all of the chips, not in a single point in time. Rather, it signed a series of massive ongoing agreements and partnerships with multiple manufacturers to secure consistent supply of chips for over several years, primarily starting in late 2025. So about the time you're talking about there is about the time that happened. Microsoft previously invested over $13 billion into OpenAI, so that Azure could have computing resources. Like I said, there are deals out there that will be bare bones because of the price of chips. Yep, and it sucks. Like, we're all gonna suffer for it, and it's not just the price of the chips. It's they've got to pay for manufacturing of the foundries, and the people in those areas where those foundries are being built are having to pay more for water and electricity, because that's getting passed on to them, even if they voted against it. You know, they're trying to solve a problem that literally nobody asked for, except for the people who want to exploit it and everyone around them for money. Like, it's all exploitative across the board. And look, I'm not a saint. I still use it. I still use AI, but I use it to help me write code and fix my scripts. I'm not trying to create slop for the sake of creating a slop. And again, I'm not a saint here, but I think my halo is a little less crooked than others. Yep, I think the hammer dropped when Micron decided not to make any more consumer chips, only for data centers. I think that's a big part of it. Yeah. It's all due to AI. AI needs a ton of storage for training. It also needs a lot of water for training. And they can't just use non-potable water for that. It has to be clean water for their systems to maintain not growing crap in it. So they're taking the drinking water from municipalities, so that the consumer is in a drought. The consumer pays more for the same amount of water or electricity than they did last year, even if they didn't want that data center literally in their backyard. First, they came for the electricity rates, then our GPUs. Now they're coming for our memory. Where does it stop? I wish I had that answer. I wish a lot of people had that answer. But this is all to satiate the greed of a few people. Like, and I don't necessarily just mean like 5 people. When I say few, I mean few in the grand scheme of things. But I think the AI bubble is going to have to burst, and the market's going to have to level back out. And I agree. I think it's going to be probably 3 or 4 years before that happens. And even if the bubble burst right now, I still think it's going to be 2 or 3 or 4 years before that happens. Don't even get me started on all of the resources AI eats up. NVIDIA basically said, for gaming, expect them to bring back older grade SKUs of older GPUs. Yeah, absolutely. They're absolutely going to do that. I've seen some of that. Are women bodies? That's what they're coming for, but that's a different conversation, right? That's not far off either. And I'm really, when the levee breaks, yeah, we live in a bad timeline, guys. And it's gonna take a hard reset for any of it to balance back out. And then what's going to happen at some point is let's say the bubble bursts and some of these data centers get shut down, or they have to shut down, or whatever. The market's going to get flooded with AI GPUs, and then that'll be good for certain people for a short period of time. Unconventional thought, but I do think the market will adjust a bit, but we're never going to go back to pre-AI way of things. There's either innovation or shortage ahead in terms of hardware. Yeah, and, well, that's kind of what I was getting at, but kind of in the reverse. When that bubble happens, the GPUs that are currently being used in these data centers will be irrelevant in a couple of years, and they'll flood the consumer market. So we'll have these great GPUs, but I think they're going to get bought up by scalpers. Kind of like what's been happening. They'll get bought up, and we'll be in a similar but different situation where they're available, but they're going to be at scalper prices. The data center bubble is unlikely to burst. The RAM shortage will, but it'll take some time. Look, I don't know. I think some of the data centers are going to get repurposed after a certain period of time, and it will be less AI focused and more regular data center stuff. Hosting, reselling, those sorts of things in a more rack nerd kind of way than reselling computational GPU stuff. Sorry, I thought somebody was knocking on my door. It's the kid doing something in his room that I am not sure. Whoa, bro. Hey, bro, let's calm down a little bit, please. Thank you. That was nuts. Sorry. Yeah, can't do much with those GPUs, just AI stuff. Can't game or general compute with them. I think there are things that you could do. I think you could game with them, but not in the traditional sense. I think you'd have to do something like setting up a Steam machine, basically, where kind of like what I showed in the Alaris video, where I actually had Steam running on the Alaris device, and then you're using some sort of whether it's Steam or one of the, was it Parsec or one of those, to stream that to your local computer. I think you could use them for those sorts of things. It's not the best way to do it because it is introducing a few milliseconds of lag across your network. But I think you could probably do it that way as long as you could convince Steam to use those GPUs, but that would require that there be an appropriate driver for that. But again, it's going to depend on what drivers are available for those GPUs when they hit the consumer market. Are we sure those GPUs will be useful in consumer applications? That's your Four Eyes Leo. That's kind of what I'm getting at there. Is it's going to be a matter of whether or not that there are going to be drivers available. If you were to set it up on a Linux system, you might have a better time of doing Steam machine gaming versus setting it up on Windows. It was one of the issues that originally came up with the Alaris device, is that it had Linux on it with a driver that was appropriate for Linux and that GPU that allowed me to do the remote Steam gaming on it. Since then, I've actually got it set up with Windows 11 and an actual driver, and it's working better now than it did a month ago when I switched it over to Windows. But that's because there's been driver maturity for that specific GPU. When it pops, then it would like the mining GPU stuff and server memory. So I guess AMD CPU or Xeon systems will be the norm. Possibly. I think it will be the norm for a certain group of people. I think people like us in this community will be the most likely people to use those systems or buy up those systems to make them more readily available for non-tech savvy people. Let's see. Ethereum mining craze brought the prices down a bit once it ended. And you could get cheap RX 580s again. That was private stuff, not trillion-sized market stuff. That's true. When we say AI, what are we talking about? Because working on the SaaS industry and corporate world, AI is here to stay. I'm not saying AI isn't here to stay. I think the way that a lot of it's being used for the slop. I'm hoping that eventually that bubble bursts and things kind of balance back out to, like it was mentioned, we're not going to ever go back to a pre-AI era. That has come and gone. We're stuck with AI moving forward. But I think eventually the bubble will burst on all of the BS that's being created and released into the wild via AI, whether it's audio, whether it's video, whether it's code, whether it's apps. I hope that eventually the influx of slop will eventually burst. And once that happens, I hope it gets better, man. The H200 can be used for scientific usages like weather modeling. You could probably do like folding at home and that sort of thing with those types of GPUs, I would think, as well. Joshua said it's been a fun conversation. Got to run distract the toddler with a fun trip. Have fun, guys, or have fun, Josh. I hope that goes well for you. Work in the business consulting for large corporations. We run our own models, etc. 100% AI isn't going anywhere. Still, you have colleagues who say otherwise. They're wrong. Home lab AI will be popular too, more so than it is now. And I think once we have access to those specific GPUs, there may be a better opportunity for AI assistance in the home. Again, kind of making reference back to what I did with the snarky AI with the Home Assistant voice device and Llama and that sort of thing. I was using a 2070 for that, right? Like that GPU it's an 8 gig card that's 4 years old, 5 years old at this point, and it did fine as long as I didn't ask it to do too much. But if we end up with access to these new AI GPUs in the home environment, I think we could absolutely have a lot of fun with AI in the home that was able to do more things for us in a better way. But I think it's going to be a while before that happens. The GPU can be useful, but it's like GPUs that are meant for accelerators might not have outputs, but that's because they're designed to be used for certain things. And that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. While you won't be able to necessarily use them directly for gaming on your, like you won't be able to plug it into the computer that you're using right now and use it that way, but setting up a Steam machine with that GPU may be an option because it's not going to have any kind of video output on it. But if you can trick it into thinking that it can put out video or it can do the computational stuff for game rendering, you could still use them in that way as long as the drivers allowed you to. There's a way to use a GPU without video output and pairing with an iGPU or cheap dedicated GPU for gaming. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about. Miniaturization is all over again. We'll see some edge computing scenarios. There's already AI glasses with small models running there. Can't wait for more self-hosted AI stuff. 3090 Ti, it's been an amazing GPU for my home lab AI. I believe that. I don't have any 30 series GPUs. My wife's got an RX 7, what is it, 7900, I think, 16 gig in her. She's got a mini PC setting, or a mini PC with an eGPU plugged into it. She games with all the time, works really well. I've got a 2070 plugged into the device I'm using right now. Yeah, in fact, you can see it right there, 2070. And it's just pumping away, doing its thing. Sending 7 megs, neat. But I'll be curious to see what we'll be able to do with those GPUs once they're done being used for AI. Of course, I'm also concerned. Like I know a lot of times when people used certain GPUs for crypto mining and that sort of thing, that it destroyed those cards. So I'll be curious to see what the lifespan is of those AI cards will be when that happens. Joker's Crazy says, thank you for doing YouTube. You've helped me so much with my own home lab setup. Well, thanks. I'm really glad that my videos have been helpful. Thank you for being part of the community. Check out Lossless Scale for using dual GPU for gaming. Man, if I had two GPUs, I might. I just don't have any way to put two GPUs in a system right now. I don't have a motherboard that would accept two GPUs. Just my opinion, local specialized models will take over for personal use, but enterprise AI will only expand and expand. Yeah, I agree that enterprise AI will continue to expand. I think there will just come a point at which, I hope anyway, that the companies actually use it to optimize their processes and to optimize efficiency without necessarily affecting employment rates. I just hope we get to a point eventually where people stop having, kittens and polar bears playing together, or whatever stupid things they're doing. The amount of AI slop that I've seen in my stream or in my feeds from the people who told us not to get in the car with strangers. Like, look how cool this is! Isn't this precious? Isn't this great? And it's like, you realize that's AI. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I promise. And then you have to point out pixel by pixel what your proof. And even then they're like, well, I don't know. And I hope we get to a point where people are able to understand that we can't trust the things that we're seeing. I hope we get past the point of AI slop. I'm really over it, and it's only been a couple of years. It wasn't that long ago that Will Smith was eating spaghetti. Eating spaghetti. That was 2023. In less than 3 years, this was that video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. This was 2023, and we've seen how far it's come since then. I can speak with mining GPUs. Miners take care of their GPUs like no other person does. If there's been no soldering involved, they're better than the average secondhand, but that's a big if. Yeah, maybe via an M.2 to PCI adapter. I actually saw somebody who built a very mini PC. It was like basically the if you were to double the size of an iPhone, it was like that big a square, and it was only about that thick. And that's how they managed to get the GPU plugged into it, because it didn't have a PCI slot like you would expect for a GPU. So they used an NVMe or an M.2 to PCI adapter for that, and it was a pretty neat little machine. Let's see, AI compared to mining hardware isn't really the same. Mining runs the GPU 27, only runs when something is queued. The rest of the time it's not really doing anything unless it's training. If it's training, those could take minutes to years for training. So it's, again, you're going to have to know the history of the AI GPU when it gets to that point. Was it used for generating AI slop? Was it used for generating code? Or was it used for training the AI? Because I think those training GPUs are going to get hit a lot harder, much like the mining GPUs were. And again, it's all speculative at this point. So I'm curious about how they will fare out in the wild once they're done, once they've been decommissioned out of data center training and that sort of thing. And how good will they be in home labs at that point? Will they be useful in home labs for, whether it's running a local AI or for transcoding or for whatever? I'll be curious to see how they fare in the real world after after they've been used that way. I mean, the new model that came out of China was trained for 6 months straight. Was that the DeepSeek? Is that the one you're talking about? Because I would be curious to to run more AI. Like, it was fun to have my little AI chatbot assistant thing, but it wasn't practical. If I want to tell Jarvis to turn a light on or something, I don't need it to have a lot of power to do what it was doing. In fact, at this point, I can tell Jarvis to just do whatever I need it to do: turn on bedroom lights, turn on living room lights, whatever, without any kind of GPU or AI attached to it, and it works pretty well. I just don't do that very often because I've got tablets set up in all of major points in my house. Oh, Kimmy K2. I'm not at all familiar with that. Let's look. Kimmy K2. Well, that's interesting. Not really what I wanted. I can just sense it. I can't run it, though. It's like 256 gig. That's a beast of a thing there. 256 gigs. I don't. You'd need unified memory for something like that, I think. I sense a disturbance in the force. Where's the T? So it's funny that you mentioned that. Last week, it was at exactly 11:37, which is what time it is right now. My wife and I both looked at our clocks, and then she brought it in a few minutes later. And you say yep, or a Mac, because Mac has the unified memory on it. So that's how you can get away with doing that, is using the unified memory on those systems. T comes once DB plays the seductive jazz. So T comes a little after 11:30 because with the kid and his autism and his routines, he's very time oriented when it's convenient for him. Lunch is at 11:30, almost on the dot every day, 7 days a week. And typically, like, he's in his room right now, so he's not having lunch. So I would assume once he has lunch, I will get tea, which is great. Okay. Speaking of tea, you guys got me sidetracked a little bit here. Let me do this. So let me see if I can find this email. I got this email. Let me see if I can. No, that's the wrong email. Next, let me get logged in over here. It's a different email account. It sounds like she's making lunch. Platform, cloudy tea. There we go. So I don't know if you guys will remember this. Back in September, a tea company, reached out to me about tea, about their tea. And you guys know I love tea, big fan of tea. So we chatted a little bit about how we might be able to work together, because I've always thought it would be fun to have like a DB Tech sponsored drink, right? So we chatted a bit back in September about their tea, and I told them I had some restrictions. I can't have green tea, can't have certain things, and then they ghosted me. Apparently they got back in touch with me the other day, and I need to get back in touch with them because I would still like to try their tea, but we'll see. But anyway, so I may have an official tea partnership thing if this goes well. I need to answer their email, because again, love tea, and you guys obviously know it enough to call it out at almost the exact right time during these streams. Does your wife not watching the stream? No, she's playing Fallout 4. She doesn't watch my streams. She doesn't, like, she's very supportive about what I do out here with the community that we've built. She's super supportive. She likes hearing the gossip. She likes hearing about what's going on in the community. But she doesn't care about self-hosting other than how it benefits the household. So I've got to be very careful about making sure that the things that I do around here get the wife approval factor before I fully implement them. So yeah, so there's that. Wanted to look at this as well. Nope. Oh, yeah. Hey, look. Draft emails confidently with Gemini. No, I don't want to do that. That's funny. View comment. Let's see. Have one system with 4 P2000s in it with a total of 20 gigs of video memory running on Llama, and it sits idle most of the time. But when I use it, it's fast and cheap. I believe that. Like again, I don't have, the hell? Why? Oh, weird. Flameberg left a comment a week ago that I didn't get a notification on, that I will have to go back and address. I apologize. I wasn't trying to ignore you. I also see your response to your own comment there, Flameberg. I will look at that later. I apologize. I didn't get that notification, so that's weird. I'll have to take a look at that later. Let's see. That's fine. That's that. Let's close that. Yeah, wife stamp of approval is the way to win in life. That's true. That is very true. Meta just paid $2 billion for an AI lab out of China, which is now based in Singapore. That doesn't surprise me at all. I heard that Samsung also just bought another phone manufacturer from over there to gain access to their screen technology, their folding screen technology. People are just getting bought up all the time to maintain the monopolies, basically. DBT like Chuck Coffee, kinda. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm a big fan. Like I said, a big fan of tea. I'm an even bigger fan of coffee. Like I'm still drinking morning coffee here. It's cold now, but it's because it's cold in here. But I've got this like electric blanket thing for my legs that I got for Christmas. That's actually pretty awesome. See if I can find it. Heated leg stand. I have to see if I can find it. Oh yeah, it's basically this. Almost exactly this, actually. This is what I'm keeping myself warm with right now. And it's actually really nice. This is the first time I've used it. But my legs are really warm and it's really nice. My mother-in-law got it for me for Christmas. She asked what I wanted. I said this, and I got it. And I'm really happy with it. Self-hosting is a tool of freedom against techno-tyranny, which makes DB Tech a freedom fighter. I don't know. Hey, here comes T. I heard it. They were just asking about you at 11:37, just like last week.
Dang, dude.
Right? Right? Seriously. Thank you. Love you. Oh, that's too hot. I'm going to give that a minute. What flavor do we have today? Orange and spice from Bigelow. Yeah. It is not USB powered. It is plug into the wall powered. Yeah, it's just a standard plug. I actually appreciate that too. It's just a standard plug. It's nothing crazy there. If I lose this cable, I can just please post that if you could. The heater, yeah, I can do that. I am logged in. I'm going to give you an affiliate link there. I'm going to affiliate. That's the one I've got, and it's great. Like it's got like it's got this thing across the top that like zips, so that it becomes an actual. Oh, you can't see my screen. I apologize. So it kind of like goes over your legs like that, and it's got a wire in it, so you can bend it so that it fits comfortably around your legs. And then it's got a little extra little blankie thing here, just to help seal things in. Big fan. It's been working really well. Been using it the whole time. The big reason that I like it, because like I've got a space heater over here, and it's fine except that it's loud and it's like 1500 watts, and I don't like it. This is like 300 watts, and it's radiant heat on my legs. I think it's like 300 watts. I'm checking. I've actually got it on one of the warm. I think I've got it on setting 3, which is actually yeah. See, like it just folds up. It's super easy to use. Yeah, heats 140 degrees in about 30 seconds, which seemed about right. only 220 watts. And again, it's silent because it's radiant heat. Tea sounds good. It is really good. I'm a big fan of this orange spice. Hopefully. So hot, but really, really good. The AI company is called Manus. So you said that Manus AI. Interesting. Manus is now part of Meta. Whoa, what the hell? That was weird. This whole screen over here just went black for a second. That's really strange. Huh. I don't know. Anyway, Manus. Interesting. Localized content, adapt your content for new markets. Close that. Again, you guys can't see my screen. Damn it. I am still not good at this streaming thing. That's been more than a year. My wife has fibromyalgia and radiant heat helps. I believe that. Figured you'd have enough servers to heat up the room. What's funny is this, I've got 3 NASA's and, is that right? 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 NASA's and my Zima Cube running, and it's only 325 watts. So it doesn't do much, especially with it being as cold as it is here right now. Weather, Colorado Springs. Here we go. Yeah, I have 35 today, and there's no heat in this room other than those servers and my little radiant heat blankie thing here. Yeah, no, there's like I said, this is only putting about 300 watts. Fire up the HL15 for heat, right? Yeah, just have it plow through an AI thing for a while. Yeah, no real desire to do that. Definitely should figure out something to do with the HL15. I just don't know what. Like, I feel bad for it just sitting there. It's not even turned on right now. But in fact, that 300 and whatever watts also includes that stack right there, and they're just sitting there doing nothing too. So, yeah, that's about it. I 2.168.0.118. Is that not in there? It is there. Man, screen infected by AI, right? Luckily, there's no AI running on this machine other than whatever Windows 11 has in here by default that I haven't turned off. I was really hoping that eventually we would see. Too bad you rent a mini split would be great for that space. I agree. We're actually considering looking at buying a house this year, just to see how that would go. Is it going to show me anything? Really? Why isn't it? That sucks. Sorry, I did something stupid the other day. Oops. And it's not showing up. Oh, come on. Really? Damn, that's the problem, why it's not showing up. Is it not? Come on. Is it off? Oh, son of a bitch, really? That sucks. Huh. There it goes. Weird. Damn, I added something to this screen over here that I really wanted to see. And it's apparently when I plugged in my little heated blankie thing here, I turned it off. So that's why it's not showing up on the screen over here like I wanted it to. And I've got to wait for it to boot up. I don't know how long that's going to take. I just installed the new Zima OS to replace Casa OS. A lot of AI functionality built in. Interesting. Was it really going to be like that? There we go. Maybe. I don't know what it's doing. It's thinking. That Zima OS. I've got the SEMA board 2 right here, trying to spin up, maybe, but I don't know. Don't know if it's actually going to do it. There it is. So then in theory, that's still not. This should be coming up soon, I hope. Is it? Yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen Hypermind. This popped up on Reddit the other day. It's the silliest thing, but it's kind of a neat little thing there. It basically a high availability solution to a problem that doesn't exist. Basically, it uses the same transport protocol or network connecting protocol the sailing the high seas does, and it just allows people to connect and create a hive that's not doing anything. And it's just silly to have it up for the sake of having it up. Did that not come back up? Is that what happened there? Let's restart that and see. I'm not a big fan of Zima. It seems overpriced, always for their hardware. You can install it on your own hardware too. If you install version 4, then upgrade to 5, you get plus features for free. You need to upgrade before June to get the offer. That is true. I don't know. I don't even know what version I'm on. Oh, I'm on Plus. So, yeah, on the Zima Board 2 device info, it's all there. Yeah, so that's that. Let's see, does it ever come back up? There it is. There it is on giggity.network, because I had somebody mention something the other day, and I thought it'd be funny to buy that domain name. So that's what I'm using it for, is HiveMind, just for that, because I can. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, like I said, oops, there we go. It's this, and it just runs. It just is a completely decentralized peer-to-peer deployment counter and ephemeral chat platform. It solves critical infrastructure challenge of knowing how many other people are currently wasting 50 megs of RAM. It's 50 megs was crossed out, running this specific container while providing a secure, serverless way to say hello to them. When I first deployed it, it was just this, but now there are themes. Now you can change it to different colors, that sort of thing, and you can see all kinds of silly information here. I don't know if this will actually tell me settings, check for updates, tips. I don't know what that does. Nope. Oh, something. Oh, you can add little notes. I didn't know you could do that. But yeah, that's what's currently running on my Zima Blade or Zima Board 2. It's just this. But the reason I even bring that up is because I took that URL and added it to the screen over here. I wanted to see. Oh, it looks like garbage. I may have to remove it and re-add it. Let's turn that off, and then let's re-add it. Let's go back to here. Can we look at it there? Is it still not going to do that? It sure isn't. With the new update, it doesn't render well on here. That sucks, because I thought it would be fun to just have like that on the screen behind me for no reason at all. And this whole time it never showed up because I had bumped the power button on my smart plug for the Zima board. So that is a me problem. That sucks. I really thought that would be fun to have back there. I'll just have to turn it off. Oh man. So let's see. That actually makes me wonder what apps are featured in this week's self-host newsletter, because this is actually pretty funny. He actually talks about Hypermind here up at the top, and there was a specific thing, the latest commit message in the project's repo, which is all of this. which was added to adjectives.json, but the note was stop working while drunk, which I thought was pretty funny. But self-hosting book, steadfast self-hosting, might have to look at that. Wow, there you go. By Adam Monson, that name sounds really familiar. I don't know. I really admire Ethan's dedication to this, of releasing this every week. Like, I genuinely don't think he's ever missed a newsletter in the years that he's been doing this, and that genuinely takes a lot of dedication. Man, that's good tea. But like a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing here, centralized AdGuard home management across instances, end-to-end encryption. So we got more file sharing, home lab management from a single web dashboard. So at least we've got some screenshots. I'll give it that. Atlas Node is a powerful open source home lab management platform that allows you to centrally monitor, control, and manage multiple servers from a single web dashboard. Seems kind of like a couple like Next Term. I don't know if it's like Next Term, but it kind of seems like Next Term. Maybe we take a look at it. I don't know. Add machines via SSH credentials. Agents install automatically, so you don't have to worry about installing agents. Docker Compose install, Linux, Mac, Windows with WSL2. File management, read later, backups, notifications, secrets, notifications, networking, media streaming API, artificial intelligence monitoring. I wish, and I know it would be a lot to ask of Ethan rather. It'd be nice to know how many of these were vibe coded, like how many of these were started from AI. Just because that always makes me curious as far as what's being built with vibe coding. But again, that would also require the developers of these apps to disclose that. And I don't know that we'll ever get to a point where we'll have that much honesty from everybody. Pause notes, I think. Lightweight open source personal note-taking and documentation platform. Well, this is very much an AI image. I hope that's all the farther it goes. Built multi-arch, supports Windows, Mac. Troubleshooting installation, make directions, get permission issues. What's your opinion on vibe coding? We talked about that for quite a while earlier. If you missed the first part of the chat, PasteGuard actually looks interesting for vibe coders to help them not leak secrets. I don't have a problem with. Sit down here farther. I'm not seeing PasteGuard. I don't see PasteGuard in here, but that's beside the point. I don't have a problem with vibe coding as long as that it's disclosed in the app, or if it's used as a starting foundation to build an app, and then a developer who actually knows how to code goes through and verifies that the code is secure. I've seen several times, like over here on Reddit, where this is specifically vibe coded stuff, or there was AI involved in the development of the code. I've seen people who are like, "Hey, look, I started this as a vibe coded thing, but then took it from there as an actual developer." I don't have a problem with it being used as a foundation, as long as somebody who actually knows how to develop goes in and takes a look at the code to verify that it's as secure as that it can be. I don't have a problem with using it in private, right? Like, again, as I mentioned earlier, I used vibe coding for the dashboards that I built for my son's tablet to let his tablet talk to the TV via Home Assistant. But I worry about people using vibe coding to build an app start to finish and then releasing it on GitHub and sharing it on Reddit or whatever as their own code when they don't know if it's secure or not. They don't know if there are any security implications in the code. If you can't troubleshoot your code without AI, you're not really coding. That I agree with 100%. If your app start to finish is AI and it's never actually been looked at by a developer, I wouldn't trust it. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't put it in production. The code that I used, I went through and cross-referenced it through the actual like API libraries in Home Assistant, like the stuff that they've got publicly facing as far as the proper ways to do different things. I went through and verified the way it was doing it was a viable option in Home Assistant. Again, I'm not a developer, so I'm taking a risk by still doing that. But I also didn't release my code into the wild. It's running on my Home Assistant setup and nowhere else. So yeah, if you're vibe coding something and don't have, let's see. Yeah, right. I use it so I can troubleshoot, sure, but sometimes you have to yell at tell the AI that it's wrong. 100%. I will absolutely do that. Like it'll give me a piece of code, and I'm like, cool. Show me the documentation, or show me which documentation you used for that. Like I will make it show me the proof that it actually did it the right way. And about half of the time, it's like, oh, you know what? You're right. I can't actually verify that. Let me go actually look at the API documentation to find the right way to do that. I ran into that several times as I was building the dashboard for my son's room. Or I will ask it questions about different things, and it'll give me an answer. I'm like, cool. Show me your sources for that. And I'm like, and so if it can't show me sources, I don't trust it. I think of it as a Google upgrade, but still check references 100%. If it can't show me where it got its information, I don't trust it. And I make it rewrite it based on actual sources that it can show me. Again, it's still not 100%. It's still not foolproof, but I try to make sure that the stuff that I am using when I have it write code for me, it can at least show me the documentation for the code that it's tried to implement. Again, I know it's not 100%. I know it's not foolproof. But again, I'm only running it on my local instance of Home Assistant for access to one thing. Yep. Posting error messages is a great way in AI to have it figure out what went wrong. But I always ask it, show me your source for that. Just because it could absolutely just hallucinate something. The mug. Oh yeah. There you go. I actually got that for Christmas. I think it was Christmas of 24. One of our friends got this for me, and it is what it is. It's just that right amount of hot where it kind of hurts, but still feels really good. Sorry, ADHD, dude. That is my life as far as ADHD is concerned. So no worries. Yeah, I will absolutely post error messages back in the code or back in the AI to be like, hey, look, this didn't work. One of the things I wanted to do when I was building the dashboard for in there was have it, because like right now, let's say let's say he watches part of Brave, right? And then changes his mind, wants to go watch Animaniacs, right? If he does that and then later goes back to Brave, it will pick up where it left off, which can be good or bad depending on how you want to go back into your movie. Do you want to start from the beginning, or do you want it to pick up where you left off, right? Completely, depends on the user. But one of the things, somebody actually asked in the comments of that video about the tablet that I did, does the video start from the beginning or does it pick up where it left off? And I was like, well, it picks up where it left off, but I wonder if I could get it to start over. So I asked, I went to Claude. I used Claude a lot for that dashboard. And I was like, hey, look, here's the dashboard that we've got. This is what it does. Obviously, is there a way to make the movie start from the beginning? And it gave me some code. And I was like, cool, where in the documentation does it say that? And it's like, oh, actually, now that I look at the documentation, it's actually this method of doing it. This should start the movie from the beginning when you press this button. And I was like, cool. So you should have given me that first, but let's roll with that. And even using the official documentation from Home Assistant with Plex to start a movie from the beginning didn't work. So currently, if he goes from Brave, watches half of Brave, and then switches to Animaniacs, and then goes back to Brave, it's going to pick up where it left off. Luckily, he doesn't care. He will literally watch Brave 3 times a day. Now we don't have to deal with that as much with the setup that I've got in there for him. But even using official documentation from time to time doesn't work, and that sucks too. I like to feed the GitHub repo and documentation into my prompt so that the AI will read it before the replies. Just links. I will actually do that sometimes as well. I'll be like, look, I'm working on this project, and I'll put a GitHub link to it. And I'm trying to do this thing with this other thing. Here's a link to this other thing. Let's find a way to make these work together. I very often do that. And I think probably in my prompts, I need to be more deliberate about saying, make sure that you use the official documentation for doing this, because otherwise it will have a tendency to hallucinate things more often. But there are very often times where I'll be very deliberate in my wording to make sure that there's a lower chance of hallucination, because I'm forcing it to go out and look at different links and that sort of thing. But one of the things, like the video that I did, the first video I did about putting the tablet in the kid's room so that he could turn his TV on and off and he could turn his light on and off and that sort of thing, that video did really well. And I think part of that is because I wrote the story that I wanted to tell. But I'm not a good storyteller. I'm not a good linear storyteller, as you've seen, even if you've only ever seen this live stream. So I wrote out what I wanted to say in my video, and I wrote, 1,000 words or more for the story that I wanted to tell. And then I took that to Claude and I was like, hey, look, this is the story I want to tell, but I know that it could use some reworking to make sure that it's more streamlined with an actual story arc. And I used AI to help me rework that script. I did basically the same thing with the follow-up video that basically tanked comparatively. The first one that I did with the tablets did, I think, 22,000 views. And the one I did with the Plex specific thing only did about 5,300 views. And I think part of that could be because of Plex. I know that there are a number of people out there that hate on Plex because they need something to hate on, or they've got legitimate concerns with Plex or whatever. But that video didn't do as well, and I was kind of bummed. But that kind of goes back to the idea. There used to be this idea on YouTube that if you make a video and it doesn't well, or it doesn't do, or if you make a video and it does well, there we go, then your next video should be something in the same vein of that, a continuation of that story or that theme. So that's what I tried to do. And Flameberg actually responded to that, and it got moderated, and maybe that's why I didn't see it, saying that doesn't work as well anymore. I was able to actually witness that with my own two eyes. I think with Jellyfin, it's not as polished on the end user as Plex is. Yeah, and that's just it. Wife approval factor is a big part of that. Here's the problem, though. Not that long ago, Plex updated their Roku app and made it the worst thing that I've ever seen on a smart TV app. Like, it used to be, you would log in and like everything was over on the left hand side. Like all your libraries were on the left hand side of the screen, and it was great. It was you just knock over to the left side, you scroll through, you find the library you want, and it was perfect. It worked so well. But then they moved everything up to the very top of the screen, and everything was a drop down. And as you drop down to each thing, it would reload the screen. It was the worst experience I'd ever seen for an app, especially from an established brand. And a lot of people were really angry about it. Like lots and lots of FU posts on the Plex forums and that sort of thing. And the main guy's response was basically, sucks to suck, I'm not changing it back. But then a few weeks later, they actually did good. They actually did change it. They kept it kind of the same, but they fixed the drop down so that like if you went to like you went up to like your libraries, and then below that it would pop up, TV, movies, kids TV playlists, right? And then you could go to each one of those, and there was a kind of a sub menu off of that, which made it better. It's still not great, because if you've scrolled way down, now you've got to scroll all the way back up to get to that menu again, and that sucks. Sometimes it's just easier to go over to like the sidebar where the alphabet is and scroll up the sidebar and then jump back over, but it's still a crap interface compared to being able to just jump all the way to the left and there's everything. But I feel like somebody needed to justify their position in the company. And so like we're revamping it for better or worse, and we're not going to listen to the user feedback. And it pissed a lot of people off. And my wife was one of them. And my kid was one of them, right? Because it used to be very easy to toggle back and forth between TV shows and playlists and movies. But now if you've scrolled down, you have to scroll all the way back up to get back to that menu. And it's super time screwy, especially when you've got a person with autism, an autistic person, whatever, who really wants to switch to this other thing very quickly and is very impatient. But luckily we found some workarounds, and now for the most part, he can pick his own shows whenever he wants. But still sometimes we'll come back and ask us to switch it to something that's on his tablet, and that's frustrating. But it is what it is. But yeah, there was a lot of people really pissed off at Plex for the Roku thing that they did. Yeah, see, like JD says, the Roku F1 TV app sucks so much. You got Apple TVs now. There were people in the comment section of those forums saying, "Look, I've got a dozen people who use my server, who use my Plex server, and I told them to get Roku TCL TVs because it was such a seamless, easy to use setup, and you've screwed all of these people. Like you've screwed the user interface. Like people trusted me to make this recommendation for them, and now you've made me look bad." And it wasn't me necessarily, although it was. But a lot of people were really pissed because it tarnished their reputation with their own friends and family because of the recommendations they made. After years of something working a certain way, one day they were just like, "No, it doesn't work that way anymore. Figure it out." And I thought that was a real crap thing to do to your users. So, it's the way the world works now. I truly believe that somebody there felt the need to justify their position and what they were doing. And that was the only reason that they did it, was just to justify their position at the company. And I don't think there was any other reason for it than that. So I don't know, but it sucks. Someone needed to justify a C-level bonus. Yep, exactly. And look, here's the thing, right? Like, I didn't really have a dog in that fight, so to speak, because like my Plex Pass was comped, right? Like I didn't pay for my Plex Pass, so I didn't like. I can complain about it, but like they never got my money. Like they comped my Plex Pass, and I can complain about it, but not nearly as justifiably as somebody who actually paid the $100 or $200 for a Plex Pass, because they just gave me one. But I agree that somebody definitely needed to justify their position in the company, and that's why they did it. And I don't think that Plex is publicly traded. Oh no, that's. Yeah, Plex is being privately held, meaning it's not publicly traded. Plex hasn't raised significant funding, with its CEO mentioning a huge. Plex has raised significant funding, with the CEO mentioning huge market opportunities in data monetization, but an IPO hasn't been filed as of late 2025. While private companies can go public, so it seems like Plex CEO mentioning huge market opportunities in data monetization. Plex data monetization. Using aggregated view or user viewing habits from free streaming services for targeted advertising, complementing its core revenue from paid Plex user subscriptions and partners, while promising not to sell personal content info, but facing scrutiny over the data collection practices and recent privacy changes, lending some users to seek alternatives like Jellyfin. Bought mine 10 years, I bought mine. I think I've got my money's worth. Absolutely. Plex is trying to be an all-in-one interface for streaming content and has moved away from pushing self-hosted alternatives. Yeah, and I've actually seen that. I've actually turned off all of that stuff, like all of its suggestions and all of its nonsense. Like even when I still had Netflix and Hulu, like I was able to add those into there, but it would let me search in Plex. When I picked something that was on Netflix, it would then open the Netflix app, which I thought was dumb. It was like, why would I tie Netflix to Plex if it's going to make me go watch it on Netflix anyway? Same thing with Hulu. Like we've still got Spotify, but I haven't added that either because I've just got the Spotify app where I need it. But I know that there were a lot of other things that you could add to it, like Curiosity. I pay for the Curiosity Stream platform because it's like $12 a year, and sometimes my wife and I like to get in an altered state of mind and watch their stupid documentaries. Sometimes that's a really good time. But yeah, so it's, it looks like they are monetizing data, advertising free tier, dynamically insert ads for free content, collects data on app usage, server configuration, interactions with Plex services, states it does not share information about your personal media content, movies, or shows that you own with third parties, only basic account info like email, IP, and username. Recent changes in data practices have raised privacy concerns, with some users worried about increased data harvesting, leading to discussions about switching to privacy-focused alternatives like Jellyfin. But here's the thing, Jellyfin could at some point do the same thing. I'm not at all trying to accuse them of possibly doing that. I'm just saying that they could, right? They could absolutely have somebody flash a big shiny check in front of their face, and they could change their practices in a single signature. But again, it's not as user-friendly of an experience from what I've seen, from what I've read, as Plex happens to be. I just wish Jellyfin would fix its live TV, DVR, and client app, and I would switch. Yeah, I don't know that I would, because I've got other people who use my server every once in a while. So I would probably just leave it the same. It works. Like I think Plex would have to do something pretty egregious at this point for me to switch away. JD says, if they fix the user app TV apps, I'd switch, but having to tell users to go into dev mode to install isn't easy. Yeah, and that'd be a deal breaker, because like I've got a friend in Utah who I think has a Sony TV. I think our neighbors have a Samsung TV. We've got like it's a different process, and I don't want to have to learn all those different processes to get people to install apps. I just tell them, sign up for a Plex account, install Plex on your TV, sign in with your Plex account. You'll have access to my stuff. My same issue, until Jellyfin has a far more non-tech friendly client apps, I won't move. Yeah, the sad part is that Plex just works out of the box on most, if not all, clients. Yeah, and that's good in certain senses, but at the same time, you know, they can do what they want because they know people aren't going to leave, and unless they do something super egregious with data leaking or selling of data, like personal data, that sort of thing. You know, they say that they're not currently sharing information about your personal content. Who knows? I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong, or unless I get a bad vibe from somebody. I will absolutely meet somebody and have a vibe about them pretty have a pretty good idea of that person. I mean, I got probably an 80% track record on having being accurate in my gut feeling about people. My Plus Packs way back in the beginning was almost free. Yeah, like and I think I got mine in 2015 or 2016. No, I think it was 16 or 17. Hold on, I can actually tell you exactly when I got it. Plex amp. Gosh, was it only that long? I thought it was, holy cow. I guess I got it in January of 2021. Holy cow. I thought I'd had it longer than that. I guess I got my Plex account way back then, but I got it when I made the Plex amp video. That's when they comped my membership, or my Plex Pass, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's been 5 years that I've had my Plex amp. It's $25 when you bought it. That's crazy. $25. Yeah, and it's so much more than that now. Unless of course you get it on a deal. Or you can do the monthly thing if you wanted to go that route. Free for all. 222. No, don't want that. Lifetime $250. Yeah, like monthly $7. $50 for yours. Yeah, like 250. What's 250 divided by 7? It's what, 30, 35. Calc. 250 divided by 7. Huh? I said 35, right? That's not bad. I was pretty close. So you'd have to have it for, like, if you had it for, you could pay for it monthly for 3 years, and you would have had it basically paid for a lifetime license. I mean, for as much as I use Plex, I would have paid for it. I would have just paid for the lifetime license to be done with it. 7 times 12 is 84. So yeah, I think mine was 2015. Yeah, I got mine on a Black Friday deal, and you can still get them, you know, for like $100 on those Black Friday deals and that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. But again, I don't. Even if they hadn't comped my lifetime pass, I'd still pay them for it because it works really well, and I want to make sure that the apps that I use, people are getting compensated for. Like I had the MB Pass or the MB Premium, MB Premier. Yeah, I had this. I paid for this. I paid $5 a month for however long that I had it. Following license are for single household use and carry a 30 device limit. You plan to support more devices, do this. $120 for a lifetime on that. Again, I know not everybody is happy with MB, but they're kind of going the same route with hardware accelerated transcoding, MB theater. Like they're doing a lot of the same things as FlexPass. They're just doing it for half the price. But monthly to try, and I saw that it would cost. So I would use it one for the lifetime for under $100. Yeah. And look, I'm again, I paid for MB Premier for a year or more. Yeah, please don't purchase one of these unless you're using your own server that you installed. Yeah, don't buy a license for somebody else unless you're deliberately buying it for someone else. I could absolutely see how a scammer could get you on that. But yeah, like again, like I've said a few times, I would absolutely pay that because I've used it for so long. People forget that the devs need to eat too. Yeah, it's why I paid for MB Premier. It's because it worked really well until it didn't. And yeah, I understand that those people need to eat. Just like I know, like you guys will donate memberships and gift different things on here because you understand that this is how I make my money. And so I try to do the same thing where I support the developers whose products I use. Like, so it's I don't know. I'm appreciative that there are people out there who are like that. Nightbot, like as if I had called it. That's really funny. Yeah, I had Myth TV once, and I know that was a long time ago. Nighthawk is here. I'm here, but watching in the background. That's fine. That is perfectly acceptable. Glad to have you here. What else did I close? No, I didn't. Okay. There was, man, never gonna find it. Paste guard. Somebody had mentioned paste guard earlier. I don't know. Paste card coding. Oh, damn it. Here we go. All right, here we go. Somebody had mentioned paste guard earlier, and I hadn't heard anything about it. So I'm trying to find it. Paste guard, privacy proxy for Open Web UI. Mask before you send to the cloud. Using cloud LLMs with Open Web UI, but worried about sending client data. Built a proxy for that. Paste guard sits between Open Web UI and your LLM providers. Two privacy modes. Mask local. Route mode. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing, but it's a good idea. And the developer is actively engaging here, so that's cool. I've already got pull requests and issues for different things that people are recommending here. That's great. Oh, he has it as LLM Shield on that list. Maybe that's why I didn't see it. LLM Shield, privacy proxy for routing. Oh, but then that's Gasser. Oh, interesting. It must have changed names at some point. That's all I can figure there. Is that it changed names at some point or something? I don't know. Finally closed up the PC. I'm pretty sure I got all the new fans and the AI wired up correctly. Yay! You pushing the button for the first time then? Or are you starting it up? Did you put the side panel on before you tested it, Collins? You know that's bad luck. Yeah, that's interesting. It's I honestly didn't know that you could use a local instance of Open Web UI to communicate with remote. You put both side panels on before starting it up. Hope it works. Anyway, I didn't know that you could. I never even considered that you could use Open Web UI with a remote LLM. Never even crossed my mind. Left the power cable downstairs. See, bad luck's already kicking in, man. I guess I would have to look more into Open Web UI to learn how to connect it with a remote LLM. I genuinely didn't know you could do that. I only ever used Open Web UI for local stuff, so I'd never even considered you could connect it to a remote. That's cool. No description, website, or topics. Oh, nice. Thanks, JD. I appreciate that. Yeah. Again, I never even considered it, but it's an interesting idea. Oh, they did. Sorry, I was looking. So I was scrolling. It's like where are the screenshots? But I finally found them. So good. There are settings to change next to the different APIs. Interesting. Yeah, I've always just gone to whatever website or whatever provider I wanted to use, and I did it that way. And I never I think I've got a couple of dollars in credit over on, I don't remember which one. Whichever one is connected to Posties. I'm never going to find it there. And I can't show that. Because I had to generate I was doing some testing with, when I made the Posties video, I wanted to show the AI stuff in action. So I threw a couple of bucks at whichever AI platform it connected to. And it worked out pretty well. But I always use the free version of everything else. So I don't know. Running Lighthouse is better since it allows you to set limits on the API keys locally. Huh. Yeah, that's pretty cool. See, this is where you guys have got me beat as far as your knowledge of these different platforms is concerned, because I'm very much an old man yelling at a cloud some days. Ouch. Ouch. Man, you ever get an itch that when you scratch it, it itches more? Oh man, glad that's over. Yeah, that was. I added that Nightbot message last night. I was sitting there in the living room, not sure what I was going to do, and I was like, I'll just add some fun stuff to Nightbot to have it say some funny things to break up the chat every once in a while. But yeah, most of us are. Yeah, that's true. Moving to Colorado, my skin's more dry and itchy because you need to drink more water. Yeah, it's surprisingly dry here, and that's like I'm still really bad. I've been here 17 years now. Is that right? 18? Wait, I moved here in 07. I've been here 18 years now, and I'm still bad about using lotion. I only use it like when it's real bad, and I know that I could prevent that just by using it more often. But I drink a lot of water, so I think I probably don't need as much lotion because of the amount of water I drink. But yeah, my wife uses lotion and chapstick all the time because of that same reason. You live on top of a mountain? I do. Yeah, like I can actually like look out my back window and see Pikes Peak. Like it is. I'm right at the base of Pikes Peak. And so as a result of that, like, I don't live at sea level. No, I live at right at 6,000 feet where I'm sitting right now. And of course, Pikes Peak is just over 14,000, or right at 14,000 feet. So it's funny that like with where I'm sitting, like the top of the peak is more than double the elevation of where I am right now. It's an extra like 8,000 feet. It's crazy. But it has a huge impact on our weather here too. Like with where I'm located geographically, like a storm will hit the peak and split and either go north or south. And as a result of that, we don't get a lot of crazy weather here. But sometimes when we do have crazy weather, it's gnarly. We've had flash floods in my area. They hit and it's water up over the curb, like clear up to the foundation of my house. I haven't had that in a few years though. But like this year, it's only snowed 3 times. There was one time we got about 4 inches. And it was gone the next day. One time we got a dusting that was gone by the end of the day. And then Thursday night, we got a foot of snow overnight that basically shut us down. Like the school district shut down, the kids' therapy shut down. It's been pretty crazy. So, and it's been super cold the last few days. It's the closest to winter we've really had. So it's whatever. But wait till February, dude. I'm concerned about this coming summer, like this spring and summer, based on how our winter has gone. I'm worried that this summer is going to be like brutally hot. And I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens because I don't know. But we'll see. Sorry, I brought the SoCal drought with me. Dude, right now, California is not in a drought for like the first time in I don't know how long. Yeah, California is not in a drought right now. So I don't know what you did, but if you're going to take the blame, I'll let you have it. Yeah, fire, dude. The fire risks are brutal. We've had a couple of fires here. Yeah, that's funny. We've had a couple of big fires here in the like 18 years that I've been here, and it devastated a lot of people. There was one right on the peak or right on the mountain range. When was that? Colorado Springs fire on the peak. No, it was years ago. I don't remember when it was. I don't remember what year it was. I'd have to actually go through my through like my Facebook stuff because I posted pictures of it when it happened. But I think it was like 2008, 2009, 2008. But I remember it was later than that. It was 2009. Anyway, like I was driving back from Denver or driving from Denver here, and it looked like I was driving into hell. Like it was dark, it was smoky, it was red from like the sun shining through all the smoke. Like it literally looked like I was driving into hell. And then we had the Black Forest fire a few years later. That wasn't as devastating as far as numbers were concerned, but still ruined a lot of lives. I was surrounded by fires this past year. Like it was fine because a lot of them had burned. Yeah, dude, that sucks. I can't imagine how scary that was. Like with the part of town that I'm located in, like things would have to go tragically, like catastrophically bad for it to get this far. Because I'm not near any kind of wilderness. Like there are trees here, like lots of trees around me, but not nearly like the forest up on the mountain or in Black Forest. So I'm pretty confident with where I live right here, at least for now. Spectacular Austin says, "Hey DB, well hey, thanks for stopping by. Got evacuated for a few hours until the winds changed. That's good. I'm glad you didn't have to do any of that. I used to go to Fort Carson a lot, and south of there with the old mining towns are cool. Yeah, and Fort Carson, it's often referred to as Fort Arson because during the summer they will do their live fire drills with complete disregard to fire safety. They'll be out there shooting stuff, catch the whole area on fire. It happens almost every year. They'll do a live fire drill during a high risk time. They'll set the whole area on fire. They're just like, well, we had to do our stuff. You delivered ammo there. That's great. It's they're like I said, they refer to it as Fort Arson because of how often they set the area on fire. Just doing live fire drills and that sort of thing. So and they're just south of me a ways. But again, luckily they're far enough south that it's never really made it this far north. Yeah, sounds safe, right? Robert. Whoa, hold on. Hey DB, fine to see a stream again. Well, I'm glad you got to hang out. Fire were to occur at your house, you'd still have your data. If so, how do you feel about backing up to the cloud? So Samzik asks, if a fire were to occur at your house, would you still have your data? If so, how do you feel? Or how do you do that without backing up to the cloud? That's actually a topic that I've been chatting with some people about for an upcoming video that we're going to do. And that is kind of we're working on a kind of a backup buddy solution. I've got, in fact, it was Collins who suggested it. Like he lives back east, and we've talked about doing kind of a offsite, absolutely. So we've talked about setting up kind of a backup buddy solution where I would back up to him and he would back up to me, and that way we would have offsite backups of our data. I'm actually waiting on a specific piece of hardware to arrive so I can put together the device that I want to use that for. I'm actually kind of excited about the device. It's a cool looking device, and I like the aesthetic of it. So I'm waiting on that. I've been in touch with the company. I'm hoping to have tracking information soon about it. But basically, I'm also working with a company right now to do offsite, like a commercial offsite solution. But the issue that I ran into with the way their platform is set up, because I use Synology devices, Synology's backup solution will create empty files to build the file structure, and then once that's created, then it uploads the actual files. Their platform doesn't allow for empty files to be uploaded. So I was able to help them find a solution that allows because it's basically, it's a Docker container that you run on your Synology device, and you connect your rsync to your local IP address on that Docker container that actually creates the connection, and then uploads everything. But because of a couple of lines of code in the JavaScript, it wouldn't allow for that thing. Wouldn't allow me to do the backups. So I had to provide a solution for them that allows Synology to use its normal protocol to upload empty files and then overwrite them with the actual files. So I'm waiting to hear back on that. And I provided a solution. They thanked me for that. They're working on it. I don't know when it's going to be implemented, so I'm waiting to hear back from that. But they've got like a 5 terabyte program for backups that they provided me with. But again, I'm waiting to hear more on the solution that I provided them to fix the empty file thing. So I've got a couple of different options for offsite backup, because currently I don't have any offsite backup. Right now, my home lab is a Zima Cube with 6 8 terabyte drives in it, and I've got it backed up to 2 of the other NASAs in this rack. And wow, you're just really pushing buttons here, aren't you? Cool. Now that person doesn't get to do that anymore. I don't know why this person thinks they're funny. But yeah, so Let's see. Can I? Anyway, that's a bunch of jackassery for no reason. But yeah, so basically all of this is everything I've got. That said, if I needed to, I could run in here and grab my Zima Cube, and it would have my entire home lab on it. It's got my Plex. It's got yeah, they have. This is one of the sides to 100. Yeah, look, and honestly, this is the first time this has happened. This person can suck my taint after a run, but whatever. If and this is kind of what I was talking about. People being shitty people for the sake of being shitty people because they think it's funny to be a shitty person. Like you're not impressing anybody. They happened over on Twitch, and now they're just spamming. Man, screw this person. Yeah, like I don't understand why people think this is funny. I don't understand what makes them think that this is a clever thing to do. Way too much time on their hands. Yeah. So let's come over to here. We do two. Right? Moving to different platforms. Yeah, put them out. Like I did some other stuff that apparently didn't work either. So that person is just a garbage person. I don't have any respect for them. I don't think they're funny. It won't actually let me ban them is the problem. I can put the user in timeout. I can hide the user from the channel. I've done both of those. Right. Yeah. Screw them. Just like different accounts. Yeah. And they think that's funny. They think that's cute. I think they're garbage people. So anyway, I'm not going to give them any more attention than that. But they're account hopping is what they're doing. Yeah. So, but anyway, so basically my whole home lab is in here. So if I had to, I could grab, the Zima Cube and I could run with that because it's got literally everything on it. And it would be fine. But all my backups are all local. So I'm working on a couple of different things for backup solutions. One's commercial, one's a backup buddy solution. And I need to, again, I'm waiting on hardware for the backup buddy solution because I've got a plan that I want to implement there. So, but hopefully I hear back from them. It's actually, B-Link is supposed to be sending me, a device. In fact, I can show you. It's not a secret device. I've seen other people reviewing it already. I need to find the link. Yeah, the NAS ME Pro. Oops, that's stupid. So we go over here to desktop. It's the B-Link ME Pro. And actually, I think it looks kind of cool. It doesn't follow their branding. It looks to me like a little mini guitar amp kind of thing. But it holds 2 hard drives. And the bottom of this is actually basically a mini PC that like slides out on a tray that you can upgrade, which I think is a very cool idea. But I'm waiting to get this device. This is what I want to use, but it's got like a 2.5 gig LAN. It's got a 5 gig LAN, HDMI, USB, USB-C. Like it's got, and it's tiny. It's a really small device that holds two 3.5-inch drives and three M.2 NVMe drives. But I like the aesthetic of it. It reminds me of like a little practice amp, like for a guitar or something. And so it's got, like the N95 and N150, but there's also additional versions for ARM, AMD, and Intel coming. So if you want to change platforms or whatever, you can just slide out the mini PC portion of things, and then slide in the new version. So it's kind of a cool idea. You're still going to be locked into their platform, but it's still kind of a cool. Yeah, it looks like a Marshall amp. It very much does. But you can then upgrade if they continue to build out these little motherboard systems. Then you can just upgrade the whole thing, and it would be it'd be a great way to just continue to upgrade your system as they release new boards to slide in for the upgrade. And yeah, like you can see, there's an iPhone 17 Pro Max, and there it is next to it. Like I just think it's a great solution. Trying to see if it shows. Here you can kind of see, oh, that's just regular NAS. Yeah, so 3 M.2 slots, 2 hard drives, and then the actual PC itself. It takes 3.5-inch drives or 2280s for the M.2s across the top. So full size hard drives in there. But yeah, like Windows, Linux, Unraid, TrueNAS, Proxmox, ESXi. All kinds of cool stuff in there. So I'm excited to get this and take a look at it. Have some spare 4 terabyte drives. Yeah, I think I've got some 4s. I've got some 10s. I say some. I've got 2 10s that I know I can put in there. But yeah, there you go. That's what it looks like. And I think it's a very cool product. Based on what I've seen here. I haven't actually tested it yet. But NAS Compares has already taken a look at it. That said, it does come with soldered RAM, either 12 or 16 gigs for that. So that is kind of one of the downsides. But Blessed Cloud, thank you so much for the donation there. Appreciate that. That's very nice of you. But that's not to say that some of these other, like we looked at up here, that has, like the ARM, the Intel, the AMD. It's not to say that they couldn't possibly do something here that would allow you to upgrade RAM for later. Oh, Collins, thank you. Again, for basic NAS, that's more than enough. That's exactly right. That's why I'm excited about this device. I think this would make a great device for something like that. So thank you, Collins, for that, and also to BlitzCloud for your donations there. I really appreciate you guys supporting me while we're doing this. But yeah, for a basic little TrueNAS box, I was honestly thinking, like trying Unraid with it. I've never tried Unraid before, and I thought maybe I could put that on there. But yeah, TrueNAS would be great here. Toss a couple of NVMe's, add a couple of hard drives, right? Super easy to set this up. It's got like a dust collection tray, it looks like, that I had seen in some images somewhere. I know that was a NAS, but I remember seeing something about like a dust collection thing at the bottom or something. Maybe I'm on more drugs than I thought, but it looks like a very cool device. And again, it's got a 2.5 gig and a 5 gig network ports on there. Isn't Unraid license pretty expensive? I think so. I've had people offer me Unraid licenses before. But I've never actually looked at Unraid, so maybe I should at some point take a look at it. But I don't know. We'll see. Man, we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm kind of excited about taking a look at that device, just because I think it'll be fun. Unrated, yeah. So that's, oh, see, there you go. Depends on the tier that you select. Starter gives you 6 storage devices or 109 for unlimited. That's not too bad. Again, supporting developers who are creating operating systems and the things that I would actually use. I would give it a look. I just haven't yet, and I don't think I would need 6 storage devices since that one only has that unit only supports 5. But I could throw a couple of 10 terabyte drives in there, a couple of some 2 terabyte NVMe drives for caching or any apps that I would want to run on faster storage. I think it would be just fine. But man, my computer's having a fit now. Keeps telling me the last USB device you connected has malfunctioned and Windows doesn't recognize it. I don't know. Everything seems to be working fine. I don't know what is going on there. Can I look at my event viewer? To Windows system. I'm going to go back to that Beeling device. I really like that. Yeah, it looks like a very cool device. I'm excited to get a chance to take a look at it and kind of see what it does. Because again, for storage, I think it'd be more than enough. Setup, information, security application. Not seeing anything here that matters. Been running Unraid for over 2 years, won't look back. And I've heard that Unraid is really good. But I've never used it, so I don't know. I run Unraid and no containers on that. I'm using TrueNAS, I'm using Proxmox, I'm using Synology. Those are kind of the 3 platforms that I'm using for my setup. But beyond that, I mean that's basically it. From there to oops, no. Interesting. I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to take a look at that B-Link ME Pro. Yeah, there's, like I said, there's NAS Compares has made a couple of videos about it. Looks like Geek of All Trades, NAS Compares, B-Link. Is this it? Yeah, so that's the previous generation, but not the new generation apparently. They offered to send me this one at one point, but I wasn't interested in it because it was only NVMe storage on that one, if I remember right, and I just, with it being a Celeron processor, it didn't have enough lanes for it to make sense to me. So I didn't take a look at it. Extra one lost. Have an unlimited license, but an extra one before price increases a few years ago. Your stream always makes my Saturdays and everything else going on right now. Well, I'm glad. I appreciate that, Austin. That's really nice of you to say. JD's got a total of 3 licenses. Yeah, like I said, I've considered it. And of course, I've got the hardware. I could put it on something. I just haven't yet. But I think at some point I'll probably get a license to it and just test it out. Again, because I've never looked at it. And I've heard that it can do some fun stuff, some different things that other platforms can't, at least not as easily. So I'm definitely curious about that. So I'll probably have to take a look at it at some point. But yeah. Oh man. Need to hop off. Yeah, Collins, I'm actually thinking the same thing. We've been going for 3 hours. I can feel my voice, my throat. I need to grab something to eat. But thank you guys again. Like, you guys are always just so kind. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on your Saturday and supporting me while I've been doing all of this. So thank you guys for hanging out and being such an awesome community here. I really do appreciate you guys. I'm going to try to make a video this week if I can come up with something. Maybe we'll do another live stream at some point before then. But yeah, thank you guys again so much. Appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you again here real soon.